What's up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Monday to you all. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Appreciate you tuning in, however you're tuning in, wherever you're tuning in. If it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available to stream up online at sportstalk1051.com. You got your Alexa devices. Download the app, take it on the go, and video stream up and rolling here this morning on YouTube. What do we have on our game plan to begin a brand new week here? We'll talk some baseball with the Brew Crew picking up another series win, taking 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. Back to Friday night, they picked up a 6-1 victory. Then on Saturday was a 4-1 victory. They did fall in yesterday's game 3-2, making a little bit of a run there in that ninth inning, but ultimately falling just a bit short. Logan Henderson did get the start yesterday, gets charged with the loss. But, again, Logan Henderson, I would say quality start for him. Going 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, and 8 Ks. Just no offensive help for him. But Brewers back at it. With, can we call it a big series? I think it's a big series, big early series going up against the Cardinals. So they'll begin a 3-game series with the Cardinals. Actually, we've got a couple of NL Central Division series beginning today that could either help flip-flop or shuffle up this division, this tight division, or maybe increase some leads because you've got the Cubs and the Reds also going at it, and then, of course, the Brewers and the Cardinals. So Chad Patrick's going to get the start tonight for the Crew. We'll talk, we'll recap this past weekend's series win against the Nationals. A little bit of a scare there with Jacob Mizorowski over the weekend, but sounds like, knock on wood, he's going to be okay. Had to leave for the game after he was dealing a no-hitter, but sounds like it was just a cramp in his hamstring, so hopefully that's the case. I know he's going to go through kind of a normal routine bullpen thing today, so we'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, he should be back on track for his next start. But also, this is a big week, too, here for the Brewers because Andrew Vaughn's on track to rejoin the team here today. Jackson Chourio suffering a little bit of a scare, taking a foul ball off his foot when he was playing for Nashville. X-rays were negative, which is good. So hopefully that means that he will make his return this week here too. And is it possible we could see the debut of one Cooper Pratt? Because he was a late scratch to the Nashville Sounds lineup yesterday. No official word on potentially what that means. I know Bryce Terang was ill yesterday. He was a late scratch to that too, but could we see maybe the debut of Cooper Pratt this week, this series starting tonight? We'll keep posted if something does pop up here this morning. So, but plenty of baseball talk coming your way here this morning as we recap the weekend and look ahead to a big series with the Cardinals. So, also on the docket here this morning, we're actually going to hear for the first time, believe it or not, I don't know if a lot of people kind of realize this, but believe it or not, today, we're going to hear from Jonathan Gannon for the first time since being hired as the new defensive coordinator for the Packers. I don't know why they haven't had him answer questions, introduced to the media and such, but this is going to be the first time that we are going to hear from Jonathan Gannon. And maybe you've been kind of following online, and now it was for the longest time kind of been a little bit of a joke and a little bit of a thing, but we are finally going to hear from the guy today. So after rookie minicamp this past weekend, we're going to play a little game like we do sometimes. What you asking? What are you going to ask if you were a part of the media scrum that covers the green and gold? And you get one question to the new defensive coordinator for the green and gold. What would you ask? What would you ask Jonathan Gannon? Maybe you're thinking about asking something like defensive philosophies, certain players, that sort of thing. What would you ask? This is your chance to ask to throw a question out to new Packers defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon in his first press conference as a Packers defense coordinator. Also going to hear from Cam Acord, the new special teams coordinator too. So, but we'll have a little fun with this and such. Not really a whole lot from rookie minicamp or tryouts. Chase Claypool did try out. He was part of the tryout group for the Packers this past weekend, but Packers didn't sign, at least as of now, did not sign any of the tryout players in that. So we'll maybe get something later in that, but as of right now, no go. So, but maybe we'll throw a little more football chat in there. It is a Monday morning, so that also means it's a VFW Post 305, best and worst from the weekend. So what is the best and what is the worst from the weekend? You can make your picks by hitting me up with a quick message on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or you can join in on the chat, the Section 105 group on our YouTube video stream. We'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam coming up a little bit later on, and also we've got a local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. And we've got conference tournament time for softball and baseball. Shout out to the Blue Gold baseball team, clinching a spot in the WIAC conference tournament for the first time since 1995. They are the 3 seed, so they're going to be taking on, let me double check it. Was it lacrosse, I believe? Was it lacrosse? I think so, yeah, because Blue Gold softball is getting the 4 seed. And they are going to be taking on Stevens Point. So, but we'll go through all that and more with our local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. So that's kind of your game plan for us this morning. Let's get things rolling, shall we? We'll open it up talking some baseball, recapping this past weekend from the Brewers, and maybe a week of some much-needed returns. Andrew Vaughn, hopefully Jackson Cheerio, hopefully nothing popped up with that foul ball off his foot, and maybe a debut of Cooper Pratt. One downfall, though, or one bad news item is it sounds like Zerpa is probably going to be done for the year. Pat Murphy the other day did say that Zerpa is contemplating whether to have Tommy John surgery or not. So that is one disappointing nuggets from the past couple days here for the Brewers. So, but let's dive into it. We'll take our first break, and then we'll get things going here this morning on the leadoff. Talk a little Brewers baseball coming up after these quick words. Spring is the time to get back outside and to enjoy the season. And whether you're heading to the range or maybe getting ready for spring turkey hunting and that, or just gearing up for some time in the great outdoors, Tilden Gun is your local stop for selection, service, and expertise. They offer a wide range of firearms and accessories, along with a knowledgeable staff who can help you find exactly what fits your needs. No pressure, just straight answers and real guidance. It's about making sure that you're comfortable, confident, and ready for your next outing. Spring is a season to get prepared, to get organized, and to get outside, and Tilden Gun is here to help you do just that. So stop on in and see what they've got in stock and why so many in the Chippewa Valley trust them year after year. Tilden Gun, your hometown source for gear, service, and expertise. And if you've had any luck this past weekend, whether it was for turkey hunting or maybe with the opener of the fishing season, send us a message on our Sports Talk Facebook page, Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page, and we'll post it up there for a little brag board. All right, so send those on over, again, on the Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page. All right, let's get the leadoff going here this morning. Let's talk a little baseball to open up things, shall we? So taking a look back at this past weekend here, Brewers picking up another series win going up against the Nationals. So acting a little bit of revenge after the Nationals swept the Brewers in Milwaukee. But going back to, let's go back to Friday night's game where the Crew picked up a 6-1 victory. Jacob Mizorowski picking up his second win of the season. And the Miz kid was cruising. 8 Ks, did have 2 walks, no hits as he was pitching in the 6th, but a little bit of concern right away. After a pitch, he kind of motioned to the dugout, and he was taken out of the game. Ended up being a cramp in the hamstring. Now, all signs point to he's fine, he's good. Today's going to be a big day with a normal routine. If he gets through it fine and all that, then sounds like he'll be ready to go for his next scheduled start. But cross your fingers, knock on wood, cross your T's, dot your I's, whatever you got to do to make sure that he's going to be okay. But, man, he was dealing on Friday nights. Dude looked awesome. Lowering that ERA, too, to a 2.84. So far on the season, Jacob Mizorowski, 2-2 with a 2.84 ERA. And when you look at across Major League Baseball and just strikeout numbers, he is still number one. 59 total strikeouts in 7 games. Dylan Cease, 56, and Gavin Williams, 53. All 7 games played for those. And technically, too, Mizorowski's got a little bit, he's beaten Dylan Cease in the amount of innings pitched, like not as many innings. It's 38 compared to 38 and a third. But one thing on here, too, is that Mizorowski has given up 23 hits, where Dylan Cease has given up 33. And Mizorowski has given up a few lesser walks. And his opponent's batting average for Jacob Mizorowski, just 172. Yeah, that's 6th best in Major League Baseball. Jacob Mizorowski is. So let me throw this out there to you. All right, and I want your input, because part of it is my kid proclaiming this past weekend. Can we say right now, at this point in time, that Jacob Mizorowski, not just for the Brewers, but from an overall sense, okay, is he an ace? When you think of an ace starting pitcher, when you think of that number one starting pitcher, is he that guy? Now, I don't necessarily want to say, well, for the Brewers he is, because we've kind of had that before, right? Maybe recently with like a Freddie Peralta. Remember, for a long time, I was like, yeah, Freddie Peralta is an ace for the Brewers, but is he really an ace across, Major League Baseball? I want to know, would you consider Mizorowski, from a Major League Baseball standpoint, all across the league, that he right now is an ace? Or is it still a little too early? Like, we know Paul Skeens is an ace across Major League Baseball. We know, throw another Chris Sale or whoever you want to throw into there. When you think of Tariq Skubal, we know they're aces. They're legit aces. Is Miz at that point? Or is it still too early? I mean, they're solid numbers, 2-2, 2.84 ERA, leads the league. Or I should say leads the majors in strikeouts. That opponent's batting average, just 172. Where is he at in terms? I'm just kind of curious with walks here. What did we say for Jacob Mizorowski? He had how many walks? So Miz has given up 15 walks, and really that's kind of comparing it to the rest. I mean, that's fewer than Freddie Peralta, but just one and such. So all right, I was just kind of curious to see. It's on the second page of all the stats. So Logan Webb has given up the same amount on there too. But hit me up. What are you ready to label him an ace at this point? So they picked up that win offensively. Brewers giving them some early run supports and in the first and such, but 12 total hits for the Brewers. 12 total hits for the Brewers in Friday night's game. Then move to Saturday. Brewers picking up a 4-1 victory. Harrison picking up kind of where Mizorowski left off a little bit. 6 innings, did give up 7 hits, but just 1 earned run, struck out 5, 1 walk. He is now 3-1 on the season with a 2.12 ERA. Kyle Harris. Offensively, Brewers giving him some early run support with those 3 runs in the first inning. Lockridge with that big hit in the first inning, 2 RBIs to get the Brewers going there, and pretty much that was all the Brewers needed. They did add a little insurance run in the 8th, but it was that first inning giving Kyle Harrison that early lead, and then Harrison just kind of locking in. And another fantastic performance from Kyle Harrison. Jeez. You think the Red Sox are just, kicking themselves? Like, what did we do? Why did we trade this guy? I mean, all Harrison has done, you look at his back-to-back games. He has now won 2 games in a row. He's gone 6 innings in each of those games. Back on the 26th against Pittsburgh, he struck out 12, gave up only 1 hit. I mean, Kyle Harrison, man, 3-1 with that 2.12 ERA. 29, just a little under 30 innings pitched, 35 Ks too. Dude has I thought he was going to be, when Brandon and I did our early season predictions and, the pitcher that was going to surprise or the player that's going to surprise or whatever it was. I was high on Harrison, but I might even think that he's surpassed so far what I thought we were going to see from Harrison. I mean, that guy is just amazing so far. And then yesterday's ball game, the game that the Brewers did drop in this series, 3-2. Terang was scratched from the lineup due to an illness, but Logan Henderson getting the start for the Crew. And, he gets charged with a loss. But it was a quality start, going 6 innings, 3 hits, just 2 earned runs, no walks, 8 Ks. They've got to figure out a way to keep Logan Henderson, I think, in that starting rotation somewhere. I don't know where it would be. When Brandon Woodruff does come back and such, I think, we'll maybe get to this here in a little bit, but is Brandon Sproat still kind of maybe that you're eyeballing, maybe that guy and such? But, man, Logan Henderson looked good yesterday, too. Brewers tried to make it close in the 9th inning. They were chipping away at it. Tying run was on, but not able to get that run in. So Brewers going 2-3 overall from this past weekend. And when you look at from the National League Central side of things, it is still insanely tight. Cubs, pains me to say this, but they're playing some good baseball. They've won 5 in a row. They swept the Diamondbacks. They're in first place. You've got the Cardinals, who are 2 games back, along with the Reds, who are 2 games back. So you got that Chicago and Reds series, which is going to be a big one. And then the Brewers and Cardinals. Brewers are 3.5 back. Pittsburgh is 3.5 back as well. Brewers do hold a very slight lead over the Pirates in terms of the standings based off of win percentage. Brewers are at 545. Pirates are at 543. So we got a couple of big NL Central series beginning this week. So, but going back to the pitchers for the Brewers and such, here's a little nugget. If you're kind of listening or maybe watching the game yesterday, you probably saw this. But Brewers have used 5 starting pitchers so far this year that are 25 years or younger. Logan Henderson, Crow, Harrison, Mizorowski, Sproat. The most in Major League Baseball. And they've combined for a little over 120 innings. 6 quality starts, 3.59 ERA. For pitchers who are 25 and younger, those are some solid numbers. If I'm a young pitcher or I'm a pitcher maybe trying to, kind of resurrect my career or something like that, how do the Brewers not be the most attractive destination for you? What they do with pitching and these younger pitchers and work with these guys is truly amazing. It's whether it's just Chris Hook, I don't think a lot goes to Chris Hook, but it's Henderson, it's their pitching lab. I mean, this is one thing. You look at the Brewers, what do they do incredibly well? They've got like the magic touch on a lot of these pitchers. But man, think about the youth movement. That's why they're set up. They're set up for the next few years to be really, really good with their starting pitchers. All right, let's take a look at game 1 for tonight. Chad Patrick going to be on the mound for the Cardinals. Kind of an early, big early division matchup, division series with the Cardinals, a team that is above the Brewers in the division standings. Let's preview that game coming up after these really quick words. Today only, if you go do a little grocery shopping or just shopping at Hy-Vee and you spend just $40, you are going to earn, get this, 25 cents off per gallon. Yeah, 25 cents off per gallon with every $40 purchase. So fuel your pantry and your tank, as they say on their Facebook page. I like that line. Jealous I didn't come up with that, but if make sure you've got those Hy-Vee fuel perks and such. But man, that's a heck of a deal, especially this time of year. Maybe filling up those pantries or snacks for all the kiddos for their tournaments or even lunches and such. And then you can save a little money at the gas pump too with Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. It's always a good reminder to make sure you are following the Hy-Vee Facebook page for all their deals. They have 1-day sales, 3-day sales, weekly sales, events. Stay up to date by following the Hy-Vee Facebook page, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire Facebook page. Got a couple of texts from our regular surveyor, Sam. Good morning, DK. I hope you had a great weekend. Best and worst of the weekend. Our VFW Post 305, best and worst of the weekend. Best, going fishing with my daughter and catching our limit of rainbows. Worst, her throwing her line into a tree branch and me having to climb said tree to untangle it because, and I quote, "But the fish need to eat and we don't want to waste food, Dad." You're right, kiddo. You are right. That is thank you for sharing that survey. That's awesome. Man, I wish I would have been able to go fishing this weekend. Beautiful weather to do it too. Oh gosh. Man, I'm not going to be able to do it next weekend either too. So I got to figure out when to get out there and wet some lines. Mark says, two bests from the weekend. The Eau Claire Marathon, what an awesome community event, and the weather could not have been better. Bingo. The Eau Claire American Legion baseball fundraiser, Brewer game, Kentucky Derby watch party at the VFW Post 305. Great fun and much needed fund raised for our local team. Awesome. Thank you to everybody who stopped over and helped support the American Legion baseball team. Worst of the weekend, it turned into Monday. You're right, man, because and on top of that, I'm out of coffee, and I could probably use another one. But, yeah, that's great to hear that the Legion baseball team fundraiser went well. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Mark. So, but, speaking of the Eau Claire Marathon, too, something I kind of want to dabble into. It's not going to be like I'm not going to set a day, but let's just do like a Weekend Warrior shout-out. All right, and that could be youth sports and – amateur sports, that sort of thing. Not necessarily like high school or college and that, but, maybe the youth sports like K through 8 that don't get the attention that they probably, let's give the younger kiddos some attention and such. And then, for everybody who participate in the Eau Claire Marathon, amateur athletes, or maybe if you dominated in a weekend ball tournament or something like that. So I want to do kind of a Weekend Warrior shout-out once in a while. If you ever have a Weekend Warrior shout-out, could be during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever the case may be. Send them on over and we'll give them shout-outs. All right, just kind of, again, focusing on maybe K through 8, kindergarten through 8th grade, and then, some of us who are maybe past our primes. Well, not anybody who ran in the marathon is definitely not passing their prime, because that you're a better person than I am. You probably couldn't get me to do that. So, which, by the way, C-Bomb, did you do it? Did you do it one time? Do you still do it, or did you chicken out, or where are you at, man? Haven't heard him chime in about this. So, but all right, good stuff. Back to a little more baseball here. Brewers getting set to open up a series against the Cardinals starting tonight. Kind of an early big series with the Cardinals ahead of the Brewers in the standings right now. The Cardinals are at 20-14 on the season. Brewers sitting there at 18-15. Chad Patrick is on the mound here for the Crew. He's going to get to start his 7th appearance so far this year. He has started 4 of those because, remember, a couple of them, there was always an opener before him. But Chad Patrick is coming off of a win against the Diamondbacks back on the 28th, where he went 5 innings, giving up just 1 hit, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Did have some issues with those walks in that game, if you remember. He had 5 walks in that game. But overall, his numbers, just 2.57 ERA. So Catching a theme here with some of these starting pitchers for the Brewers. Sub-3 ERAs, Mizorowski, and I know it's still kind of fairly early in the season, but now Mizorowski's in the 2s, Kyle Harrison's in the 2s, Chad Patrick is in the 2s. So, I mean, these starting pitchers, they're getting the job done right now here for the Crew. There's no question about it. They're getting that job done so far. So, hopefully the offense can kind of help them out here a little bit more on it. I mean, they helped them out this past weekend. So there was a quote, by the way, with the offense from Pat Murphy that I let me bring it up here because I thought it was such an awesome quote. This was it Saturday night? Yeah, from our friend Hunter Baumgart posted this. Pat Murphy after the game yesterday referring to the teams at single driven rallies. While we have this power outage, we'll light candles. Love that mindset. I love that approach. While we have this power outage, we'll light candles. Oh, that's cool. I like that quote. But, back to the Brewers game here tonight. So you got Kyle Leahy going for the Cardinals. He's 3-3 in 6 games started so far this year. He's got a 5.52 ERA. He is coming off of a win back on the 28th against the Pirates, where he went 5 1/3, 9 hits, 3 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. But that 5.52 ERA so far this season, and he has given up every game so far. Kyle's given up multiple runs. Going back to not opening day, but on March 30th, his first start, 4 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 4 earned runs, and then 3 earned runs. So, I mean, this is a pitcher who is susceptible to giving up some runs. Can the Brewers offense take advantage of that? Can they put up a crooked number early? Can they put the pressure on him early? Can they get her going? Ironically, so in the month of April, 4 of his 5 games were all on the road. His lone home game was actually one of his kind of better performances too. Only went 4 innings. Actually got charged with the loss, but he only gave up 2 earned runs. And then the game prior to that at Detroit, he actually picked up a win and 2 earned runs. But after that, it's been 3 runs, 4 earned runs, 3 earned runs. So I guess he gave up 3 walks in that home game too. So, all right, maybe scratch that one. Maybe scratch that thought there a little bit. But nonetheless, there is opportunities. I mean, he's given up an opponent's batting average too so far in the month of April, 306. So there's opportunities for this Brewers offense to put up some runs, to collect some hits. Can they take advantage of it? That's going to be the big question. Andrew Vaughn, if he's going to be in the lineup tonight. Or maybe not. Maybe they elect to go to another left-handed bat with Bowers because Kyle is a righty. I think the biggest question, though, too, is are we going to see Jackson Chourio? Whether it's this series or maybe the weekend series going up against the Yankees. Chourio over the weekend. Everybody crossing their fingers. He took a foul ball, hit a foul ball off his foot, stayed in the game for that at-bat, but did not go back out to play defense. X-rays reportedly were negative, so hopefully that doesn't delay Jackson Chourio getting back into this lineup. I think we're all kind of crossing fingers. It seems like we'll be okay. So, yeah, this was from Todd Rosiak. X-rays were negative on Jackson Chourio's foot, ankle. Need to see how he feels, progresses. This was from yesterday, before knowing whether he will be reinstated from the injured list in St. Louis. So, but one injury note that isn't the greatest for the Brewers, and that's Zerpa, Angel Zerpa. Pat Murphy, it sure sounds like he is going to have Tommy John surgery. I know Pat Murphy said that he's kind of going back and forth on it or still deciding and such, but that'll be a loss in the bullpen. I know if you look at his last couple starts, You might be thinking, oh, they weren't the greatest such, but it kind of maybe points to when he started to maybe have some arm issues and such. But this was the guy that was brought in from the Isaac Collins and Nick Mears trade. So, yeah, it is going to be a loss in terms of the depth from the bullpen. But if there's one thing that we know, too, about the Brewers, they've got depth not only from starting pitching, but they've got options when it comes to their bullpen. I don't know if that maybe could be an option whenever Quinn Priester does make it to the major league levels. Does he just go to the bullpen at that point? They got some flexibility, and they've got options. But it is definitely a downer that the Brewers won't have Zerpa. It sure sounds like they're not going to have Zerpa for the rest of the season here. So, but could the Brewers have another new face join them this week? And is that going to be Cooper Pratt? Interesting move made the other day surrounding Cooper Pratt. Let's talk about that. We got to take our final break, and we'll wrap up the first hour talking some more baseball, talking some more Brewers. Before that, though, let me know, too, kind of our informal poll question for today. Do you consider the Miz kid, Jacob Mizorowski, an ace? Not necessarily just he is for the Brewers, across Major League Baseball. Is he ace status, or is it still a little too early? We'll take our final break, and we'll be right back after these quick words. Sign up for the 6th Annual Casper Classic right now by heading to our website, WAYYradio.com, sportstalk1051.com, or you can go to 715store.com. Get your two-person team signed up for our August 7th tournaments going on at Lake Hallie Golf Course. We've got tee times up for 7:30, 10 a.m., which, wow, okay, we sold a few more 10 a.m. tee time slots on there. Big thanks for that. And we've got the 1 p.m. Tee time slots over there, too, for just $90. That includes your 9 holes, your carts, some drink tickets, and a meal provided by our good friends from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire last year. That pulled pork, oh, that was awesome. Big thanks to Hy-Vee for joining up again. Park Ridge Distributing, Window World. On there, we've got Superior Auto Body as well. Myron Construction, VFW Post 305. So big thanks to our partners for joining aboard or joining on again this year. So if you're interested in maybe partnering up, or you're interested in maybe donating a raffle prize, because all proceeds go to help support Backyard Dreams, reach out and we'll chat, shall we? So. We're taking a next hour. I want to talk a little football. We get to hear from Jonathan Gannon for the first time as Packers defensive coordinator, believe it or not. So that running narrative and joke that if you follow on social media will finally be in the books. But if you could ask Gannon one question, what would it be? Surveyor, so I'm going to hold on to your answer here in a little bit. Mark says, I would say the Miz is an ace. Simply put, name a major league team that would not want him on the roster. A couple more. I don't have names on there saying I would consider the Miz an ace. And another one says, I think it's still a little too early yet to consider Jacob Mizorowski a ace. So get your thoughts in. Send them on over. All right, I want to hear from you, whether it's on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line or on the Section 105 chat on YouTube. So could we possibly see Cooper Pratt this week? Yesterday, Nashville Sounds scratched him from the lineup. And last I had seen, I tried looking again, there was no updates or reason why Cooper Pratt was scratched from the lineup. But it does have people speculating, could we see Cooper Pratt on the Major League Ball Club this week, maybe even tonight? If you're going to call up Cooper Pratt, he's going to be a starter. It's as simple as that. You don't call him up, even with the contract, you don't call him up, and just have, as sitting on the bench right away. He's going to be in the starting lineup. And Scout the Stat Line. According to Scout the Stat Line Prospect Pulse, the top hitting prospects over the past week, and this is, in case you're not too familiar with it, I had to look it up too, but it provides data-driven baseball projections. And their number one hitter, top hitting prospects over the past week by Scout the Stat Line, Cooper Pratt. Cooper Pratt was number one. In fact, the Brewers are actually well represented on this. Number 3 is Luis Lara. And 6, Jet Williams. So, Brewers actually had three dudes in the top 6. So, for a team that's maybe looking for a little bit more offense, you could potentially look at that. But, nonetheless, could we see Cooper Pratt? Now, I was looking at this lineup here. So, Jet Williams was still in there. But, yeah, so the only one that was scratched was Cooper Pratt. Could we potentially see him this week? That would add a little bit of fireworks to this lineup and such. But, I mean, you look at the left field, or the left side of the infield. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at that and be like, yeah, they need a little bit more. Now, I know Cooper Pratt's, I guess, weakness, if you will, has been his offense, and that's why they, one of the things when they announced him signing that long-term deal is that maybe he settles in and doesn't have to worry about it and then kind of relaxes, and that's where he can improve in that area. And as of now, he has improved. But you look at this between Joey Ortiz, Luis Rengifo, and Hamilton. Hamilton's hitting 247, by far the best. In fact, he's even got 12 walks on this thing. But you probably don't want him as a starter. Luis is hitting just 186. Still looking for his first home run. An OPS of a 520. Joey Ortiz, an OPS of a 440, 181. And at least Hamilton's 623 OPS with that 243 average. He's only slugging 272 in there. But at least with him, one, you get a little position versatility. He could play second. He could play short. He could play third. But when he gets on the base pass, at least he's going to be a threat to steal. He's already got 7 stolen bases this year, tied for the team lead with Bryce Terang. So of those 3, if it were me, I think Hamilton is the guy. If we could just kind of keep it simple, because I think if you do call up Cooper Pratt, one of those 3 is probably gone or sent down or whatever. I think the guy that you for sure maybe keep is right now David Hamilton. At least he's doing a little something. I mean, heck, he's your guy that he's bunting just to get on base at the bottom of the order. But we'll see. Maybe today we'll find out something. All right. Shot clock's going to cut me off, so keep coming with your picks. Do you consider Jacob Misiorowski an ace? Like 1 year into his career at this point. Is he an ace, or is it still a little too early? Slight lead in the category of yes. We got some news updates. Let's switch gears. We'll talk a little football. What would you ask new Packers defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon in his first press conference? Coming at your way later today. We'll get to that coming up after these news updates. Second hour kicks off right now on this Monday morning. Hopefully you all had an absolutely fantastic weekend and you are ready to hit up a brand new work week. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in. We'll get back to some more baseball talk in the first hour. We exclusively talk some Brewers and some baseball and such as the Brewers take a series against the Nationals, winning 2 out of 3. They're back at it tonight, taking on the Cardinals. An early big matchup here with the Cardinals ahead of the Brewers. One of those hot teams in the NL Central right now, ahead of the Brewers in the standings. But could we also see the return of? Sure sounds like Andrew Vaughn for sure. Jackson Chourio did take a foul ball off his foot. Doesn't sound X-rays were negative, so hopefully that means he will be able to go here. But could we also see maybe Cooper Pratt join in on the fun? So we'll keep you posted if anything does happen to drop here in the next couple of hours. A little bit later on, we'll do some Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam. We'll do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. We've got Blue Gold Baseball clinching a spot in the WIAC Conference Tournament. First time since 1995 getting the 3 seed. Blue Gold Softball also clinching a spot in the WIAC Conference Tournaments. They are the 4 seed going up against Stevens Point. So we'll cover that and chat a little bit more in our local sports roundup, again brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. That'll come your way in the 9 o'clock hour. It is a VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. So what is the best and what is the worst from the weekend for you? Send those on over via that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912, or you can join in on the Section 105 chat room on our YouTube page. So we open up this hour. Let's chat a little football, all right, because for the first time, I don't know why it's taken so long. I don't know if that'll be asked or not, but we're going to hear from Jonathan Gannon for the first time as Packers defensive coordinator. He's going to address the media today, believe it or not. So he does exist. He actually is there. He actually is the defensive coordinator. But I know it's kind of a running thing with a lot of people on social media who cover the Packers and such, because he never had an introductory press conference and such. So they're going to hear from him today. So with our little game time, what would you ask? What would you ask Jonathan Gannon if you were a part of that media group? If you could ask one question to the new Packers defensive coordinator, what would it be? For one, surveyor Sam says he would ask Gannon, why did you choose Green Bay, and what's your ideal timeline here? I have a few questions off the top of my head that I just kind of throw out there for consideration for everybody else. One, I guess I would ask, nothing really is a base defense anymore, but if he had to kind of maybe pick which one he flows to more, is it more 4-3-3-4? And we kind of already know that's 3-4, but what's his, when he looks at the current makeup of this roster now for Green Bay and who's there and the type of players that they have on the defensive side, does he how does that determine how he's going to kind of create this defense and call this defense? You know what I mean? Essentially what I'm asking is he going to be a coordinator, I guess, and build his defense around the players he has and put his players in the best absolute position to succeed? Or is it going to pigeonhole it and ask players to play out of position and that? But what's his mindset? What's his vision for this defense? Is he going to be safety heavy we've seen a little bit in the past, especially with the Cardinals? How much does he prioritize, the defensive backs and such? I know some people are probably going to ask, is he going to be a defensive coordinator that's going to call from the booth or the sidelines and such? Everybody's different with that, but I'll be curious to kind of hear some of his thoughts, though, today. Just overall kind of, the makeup, because I've heard him talk a few times. Obviously, going back to when he was with the Eagles as the defensive coordinator and such, and then obviously with the Cardinals as head coach. But maybe another question I would ask him is, what did you learn being a head coach for the last couple of years with the Cardinals that you can use in your next run, in your next wave or next chapter of your coaching journey? What did you learn from being a head coach of the Cardinals that maybe better suits you as defensive coordinator going forward now for the Green Bay Packers? Was there something that you can take from being a head coach that you feel like could better serve you as a defensive coordinator? Because let's face it here too, this is a must-win now situation. Jonathan Gannon definitely is under a lot of pressure. Everybody's under a lot of pressure, whether it's Matt LaFleur, Ed Policy, Brian Gutekunst, Jonathan Gannon, these players. It is a must-win now situation in Green Bay. So does he feel like, was there anything from that experience of being a head coach that he feels like could better suit him in this second run as a defensive coordinator? And joining a team, too, as defensive coordinator with the high expectations that Green Bay has. And something that you can ask him, or we could ask him, he's not going to, I don't think, show all of his cards in that. But, Micah Parsons, you have a player like Micah Parsons. How do you utilize him? What's the strategy there? What's the game plan in terms of using Micah Parsons? All over the board, all over the field. Versatility. He's not going to tell you that. He's not going to tell us that today. He's not going to tip his hand in his cards and such, but it might be kind of curious to get his answer in that. And I guess maybe another one, too, I'd kind of go back to the one I said, can he take anything that he did with Philadelphia as defensive coordinator? Can he take anything from that group and how he developed that defense, how he built that defense? Can he bring that to Green Bay? Which elements? Because he's had two different defenses, right? Obviously, head coach with the Cardinals and that, and defensive coordinator with the Eagles. When he looks at this Green Bay defense, is there elements of both that he would bring in? Is it more geared towards the Eagles, which I think if you ask just a lot of fans in general, they would probably say, hey, bring more of the Eagles side of things to it. But I mean, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot that you could probably come up with and ask Jonathan Gannon. And you may get something, you may not. And we're going to hear from the new special teams coordinator here today, too. We could come up with some questions for that. Who's your main returner right now? Is it Sky Moore? Is it Keyshawn Nixon? Assuming it is Sky Moore, is the possibility of Keyshawn Nixon to return kicks there? I mean, for crying out loud, he's a two-time All-Pro in that. How often do we hear? And this is still one of the biggest bugaboos that I have, and I know he cornerback number one in that, but for crying out loud, why, when you have an All-Pro returner, do you remove him from that? And that might have been more Keyshawn than anything, but this is when you're a coach, and it's like, nah, dude, you have been named an All-Pro here. You do this job well. You need to help out the team, and you need to do this. So, still grinds my gears. But anyways, is that a possibility that we're going to see Keyshawn involved with kicks on kick returns, maybe with Sky Moore? Or Sky Moore more of a punt, and then Keyshawn kicks? How does he view that? What about the kicking competition now with Trace Mack and Brandon McManus? The challenge of having a rookie kicker. And the thing is, too, with Cam coming in, as being the new special teams coordinator, let's remember too, with him bringing in or with the Packers bringing in a rookie kicker, you got a new special teams coordinator coming into the building. Neither one of those guys, and maybe Cam from a little bit of a experience playing it at Lambeau Field and such, but they're both very inexperienced in terms of how to kick in Lambeau Field. I mean, we hear all the time. Mason Crosby talks about it all the time. Aaron Rodgers talked about it all the time too. The winds and how they swirl and they're different inside that stadium. You've got a new special teams coordinator coming in who's not that familiar with it, and potentially a rookie kicker coming in who's not familiar with that. How do you replicate that? How do you prepare for that? But, I'd be curious just to kind of hear Cam's response to, is anybody up for grabs? Not anybody, but I mean, from coverage units to, blocking units and such. What's the mindset? Are we going to have starters in there, or what, that sort of thing. So I'm definitely curious to find out today and listen to some of those responses and such. But we had rookie minicamp this past weekend. I'm not going to dive into just videos and pictures of people who were there and in that, but it's not going to grasp at straws on that. But I will say Chase Claypool was there as a tryout. As of right now, not signed. Bring him in. Why not? You have the opportunity, try him out, see what's there. I don't have a problem with Green Bay doing that. Kind of caught me off guard because I was in the middle of recording a podcast with Brandon when that popped up on Friday. I was like, oh, okay. And that was a guy, obviously, a couple of years ago, rumored that the Packers were trying to trade a second-round pick. I think Aaron was still the quarterback at that time. But why not kick the tires? See what's there. All right. Oh, see, Bob, happy Monday, stud. Just wanted to say that your softball podcast with Brandon was A+. Any softball fan should listen to it. Will make you reminisce about your playing days. I wish I would have known then that those were the best weekends of my life, and you guys are spot on, 10,000%. It's about the relationships. Well, thanks, C-Bomb. We actually, surprised me, we actually had, that is one of our most listened to episodes of the podcast. So big thanks for people tuning in. And the video version of it is on YouTube. Audio version is up wherever you listen to your podcast. So, but thanks, C-Bomb. We threw C-Bomb's name in there a few times and such. Still got we're probably going to do a follow-up one, because after it was done, I started to think about, I forgot this, I forgot that, I forgot, this and that. And so I'd like to get more stories and nuggets from other people who participated in that game. Like you, C-Bomb, we got to hear the story of your Class D state MVP run. So, all right, we got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though. What's your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend? Send them on over. All right, want to hear from you. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, and if you're wondering where you should maybe take the wife or the mom or grandma or wherever out to eat on Sunday, how about the VFW Post 305 for their special Mother's Day buffet? Sunday, May 10th, featuring eggs, beef tips, bacon, ham, pancakes, French toast, breakfast potatoes, fruit, mimosa specials. Man, that is a loaded up menu. Adults $18, kids just $9. All moms enter to win a special pampering gift basket too. So that's happening this Sunday at our good friends, the VFW Post 305. And don't forget about their 2 for Tuesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. 2 mugs or pints of domestic brewskis for the price of 1. So I know that's tomorrow on Tuesdays, but put that in the back of your minds as well. So, so C-Bomb, some of those softball stories, though, they're probably not made for sharing publicly. So we might have to be careful with some of them, right, man? But no, we'll have to get you down, have to sit you down, and a couple others and a few others, maybe do a little round table edition of that. So, speaking of VFW Post 305, best and worst from the weekend. I'll do my best and worst from the weekend. How about that? So, I think my worst from the weekend, I'm gonna go with this, just because I do have a soft spot in my heart yet. It's hard to just shut that door off. But I was an Orlando Magic fan as a kid. To see them blow a 3-1 series lead against the Pistons, that stunk. That stunk. The best, though, I'm going to say this, the Celtics losing. Didn't have that. Did not have that. So, we're this close to seeing the top seeds in the Eastern Conference out of the playoffs. That would have really changed up the NBA slate, wouldn't it? But, man, now you're looking at the NBA bracket, the playoff bracket here. So we've got Thunder taking on the Lakers. That's going to be tomorrow. Timberwolves are going to be in action tonight as they take on the Spurs. Pistons, Cavs, and then Knicks, 76ers. Knicks, 76ers on tonight, too. So that was my worst, just to see Orlando lose, but the best, I'm going to say the Celtics at that point, too. But so speaking of playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs are well underway. The Wild did fall last night to the Avalanche. High-scoring game, 9-6. That's like a low-scoring football game, for crying out loud. 9-6 hockey, jeez Louise. But Montreal also picking up a win. So they defeated Tampa Bay last night 2-1. So they move on. They're going to be taking on the Sabres. So we've got, what is it? It's all 1-3s. 1 versus 3s. Top seeds versus 3 seeds. Avalanche, the top seed, going up against 3 seed Wild. Then you've got number 1, the Knights, going up against number 3 Ducks. And then you've got number 1 Sabres going up against 3 Canadians, number 1 Hurricanes going up against the number 3 Flyers. So for tonight, we've got Golden Knights taking on the Ducks, and then Hurricanes, Flyers. Carolina currently leads that series 1-0. So, but there you have it. Little updates on the playoff race and such. Back to a little baseball. First of all, C-Bomb says, let's get Hedge, Augie, and Tim to all sit with you. Well, what about D9 and Dauber and those guys too, right? Got to throw everybody in there. But back to a little more baseball here. Do you think The Miz, can you call The Miz an ace right now? It's about 60-40 if I'm looking at some of the responses right now. And honestly, it's either yes, and pretty much everybody said no because it's just a little too early. Ben says, I would love to say Jacob Mizorowski is the ace of the staff, but I just think it's a little too early to call him that right now. Kevin says, I think it's a skosh, I like the use of skosh. Skosh, a little too, I think it's a skosh too early to label Jacob Misiorowski an ace in Major League Baseball right now. Just a little inconsistent at times, but he's definitely performed better than I thought he was going to this year. I feel like his control has been a lot better compared to last year. Sky is the limit with him. Jake says he is an ace. He is lights out dominant when he is on, and that's why I consider him an ace. So how about the rest of you? Do you consider Jacob Misiorowski an ace? Not just, I don't want to say, well, he is the Brewers ace. We've had that label for how many Brewers pitchers? You know, it's like he's an ace of the Brewers, but he's probably like a 2 or 3 for another team. Straight up across Major League Baseball, okay? Straight up. Let's say, obviously, if he goes to, I was going to say if he goes to any team, is he an ace? It depends on the team he goes to. I get that. So, but from a Major League Baseball standpoint, do you consider him an ace? So, send those on over. All right. Text it or comment on the video stream. Do you consider Jacob Misiorowski an ace right now? He's coming up, and that dude was on Friday. And, yep, I got a little nervous when he had to be pulled when he left the game. Luckily, it was just a cramp in the hamstring. Today's going to be a day, though, to kind of monitor if he goes through his normal routine. Everything that he's done normally since then has been good, great, but it's kind of like a normal bullpen workout day for him today. So if that goes well, if that goes normal, he should be ready to go for his next start. But Misiorowski, 2-2, a 2.84 ERA, leads all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts with 59, sub-3 ERA. Hard to look at some of you talk about opponents' batting average. It's like 172. Sure looks the part right now. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll talk some more baseball. Continue to send me your VFW post 305 best and worst from the weekend. A little bit later on, we'll do some glory days, and then we've got some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. All right, we'll be right back after these quick words. As the fields come back to life, it's time for spring sports in the Chippewa Valley. Whether you are stepping up to the plate or hitting the track or getting back on the field, make sure that your body is ready to perform. At Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their team specializes in keeping athletes of all ages healthy, strong, and in the game. From injury prevention to expert care and recovery, they've got you covered every step of the season. Don't let pain keep you on the sidelines. Get back in the game with confidence. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better, to play stronger, and to stay in the game. A few more comments. It's probably about 50-50 right now in terms of people chiming in about Jacob Mizorowski. Would you consider him an ace? I was kind of looking at some of the ratings and such, and this one was from ESPN with their rating system. They've actually, all across... So National League, they've got Jacob Mizorowski based off the numbers so far in their rating system, 16th best in the National League. Major League Baseball, he is down to, where did he go? 31. 31. So in the National League, the top-rated pitcher is Chris Sale with the 57 rating. And this includes... Not just it includes starters and relief pitchers and such, but in terms of starters, Chris Sale is up there, Clay Holmes, Imanaga, Bryce Elder, Chase Burns, Tyler Glasnow. Honestly, really, Mason Miller's third, but he's just lights out here. So I guess if we look at just from a starting standpoint, just in the National League, Miz would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Kyle Harrison's actually ranked a little bit higher, 9. So Mizorowski's 10, and then Harrison is 9 just in the National League. If we're just looking at starters. So Harrison ranked, 24.9 compared to Miz, who's 24.8. It's just by the skin of our teeth here. So, but it looks like from the majority there, it's about 50-50. And honestly, it's mostly just, I think people aren't quite ready yet, just a little too early. And for a couple of you who texted in to call out other people, I'm not going to read your text if you're going to be disrespectful to other listeners. So you can keep those thoughts to yourselves. I'm not going to read that. So everybody's got the right to their own opinion. Okay? Not going to read your disrespectful stuff. So you might as well just stop that. But Ben says, I think he's really close. I just not quite ready there with just a little under a year yet from him being in the major leagues. I don't know if I could put him in the category yet of Tariq Skubal and Paul Skeens. Matt says, I do think he is at that ace level. I would say he's probably still a little more inconsistent compared to the other aces out there, but he is definitely trending upward. Nate says that I'm not quite ready to put him there yet, but he is really, really close. Maybe a couple more outings, and I would be right there putting him in that upper level of aces. So Mike says, I don't feel the Miz is quite there yet to be called an ace. An ace, more often than not, will eat up innings to give your bullpen relief. It's the same reason I felt Peralta was never one. And then Jeremy says, I probably would slightly put him as an ace, but it's really, really close. I think he does have some other stuff to clean up, notably maybe lasting a little bit longer into games. So, all right, hey, keep your respectful comments coming and opinions coming. Text them on over at 715-830-1912. It's probably about 50-50 right now at this point in time. So, but we'll see. You look at this starting pitcher. Hey, what up, Zach? Good morning, Zach. Good morning to the crew at the Section 105 video chat. So you look at this Brewers pitching staff, these starters, though, overall, and I know it's only about 6-7 games into this thing, so numbers could be a little bit skewed and such. But when we look at it from, let's just focus on the starters right now for the Brewers. All right. You look at the ERA from your starters. You've got Mizorowski, 2.84. Kyle Harrison, 2.12. Chad Patrick, 2.57. Three of your starting pitchers, sub-3 ERAs. Brandon Sprode, who we're going to see a little bit later on here, his is up there at a 6.75 because of his poor start to the season. And then Brandon Woodruff at a 3.60 in just 6 games pitched. But you're looking at 3 pitchers who, are 20? How old is Chad Patrick? Chad Patrick is 27. Okay, so he's a little over past mid-20s, but still. Mizorowski, Kyle Harrison, Chad Patrick, 2-point-something ERA, under 3. Those are some better numbers than I thought they were, to be honest with you. And I know it's only, again, 6 or 7 games into it because Patrick and Harrison only have 6, whereas Miz has 7, but still. Then you look at opponent's batting average. Mizorowski is really impressive at a 172. Opponent's batting average, 172 against him. And then you look at Harrison, 222. And Chad Patrick, 222 as well. Whip, Mizorowski's a 1. Harrison's a 1.11. Chad Patrick is a 1.25. Woodruff had a 1.03. How would you power rank? Okay, kind of feeding off the whole Miz ace talk. How would you power rank the Brewers' starting pitching staff? Is Miz 1? Do we put Kyle Harrison at 2? I think I put Kyle Harrison at 2. I mean, he's 3-1 with a 2.12 ERA. Dude has 35 strikeouts in just 29, a little over 29 innings pitched. Yeah, I'd put Harrison at 2. Miz and Harrison 1-2. And then if you just base it off of ERA and those numbers, is Chad Patrick 3, or do you still put Woodruff at 3? I mean, Woodruff in 6 games, 2-1, 3.60 ERA, 30 innings. Chad Patrick, 28 innings, 2-1 with a 2.57 ERA. Woodruff, opponent's batting average, 216. Chad Patrick, 222. Woodruff, 25 strikeouts. Chad Patrick, 16. Woodruff has only given up 7 walks, though. Chad Patrick, 13. Home runs, Brandon Woodruff has given up 4. Chad Patrick, 2. Maybe a little neck and neck there. And then, you got Brandon Sprode, and maybe throw a little Logan Henderson on there. But I know we'll talk more about Brandon Sprode coming up when it's his next start, which I believe is tomorrow because Wednesday is still up in the air. But, I mean, Sprode got off to that really, really bad start to the season. But his last couple games they've been a little bit better. I mean, 7 earned runs against the White Sox on the 29th. Kansas City, 4 earned runs. Now he's coming off that Diamondbacks one too, where he had 4 earned runs. So I don't know. I feel like if Woodruff if Woodruff's back, if he maybe only misses like 1 turn through the rotation, it's just a small, stint on there. I want to keep Logan Henderson in this starting rotation. I don't know about the rest of you, but I think Logan Henderson deserves to be in the starting rotation. I think Brandon Sproat's got a ton of talent. The dude's got all the talent in the world. It's just a little inconsistent at this point. And when you look at, the stage of where this Brewers team is at and the standings and maybe a little bit of offensive struggles and such, If you had to choose between Brandon Sprode and Logan Henderson out there to start a game, I'm going Logan Henderson. I've got my confidence level is a little bit higher for Logan Henderson. And I know Sproat's got the start coming up here, but if he goes out there and let's say gives up 4 earned runs or, like his last one against the Diamondbacks. Let's say he goes out there for 4 innings and gives up 4 earned runs. And let's assume that Brandon Woodruff, and I know it's probably a big assumption, but let's assume Brandon Woodruff may be back. I'd rather have Logan Henderson in this rotation right now. And it's kind of a knock on Sproat, but I'm not ready to give up on Sproat. Maybe he needs a little bit more time to kind of fine-tune things. Just given the way that the division is playing out and how tough it is and how tight it is and the offense still trying to find its rhythm, give me Logan Henderson. Heck, I want to see Coleman Crow again. With that curveball, dude, jeez. All right, if Woodruff's going to be missing maybe a few starts, and then if Sproat has a poor outing, maybe you call up both Crow and keep Logan Henderson up there. Go with a couple more youngsters. They ain't pitching like youngsters. They're pitching like some pretty darn good veterans at this point. All right, we got to take a quick break as we wrap up the second hour, head into halftime here. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. If your home or your space needs some flooring updates, it's time to upgrade. Where do you go? Look no further than our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center, Wisconsin's premier flooring store. Whether it's maybe with getting ready for summer, maybe the warmer weather this past weekend. Like yesterday, I was doing some shingle work and such, had to cool down. Where do you go cool down? You cool down in a man cave. So maybe you're like, oh, I gotta remodel this space. So this could be my summer shelter, summer cave and such. Well, you start from the floor up. So you go visit our friends at Carpet City Flooring Center at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. Whether it's carpet, whether it's luxury vinyl planks, whether it's tile, whatever the case may be, or if you're not even sure and you're just not sure what would work the best in your space or fit in your budget or look the best, the entire team at Carpet City Flooring Center will help you figure it out. So again, go stop by today, all right? Go talk to them. See, they'll help you come up with a game plan and such. Again, that address, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. You can also check them out online at carpetcitywi.com. So, few of you saying Kyle Harrison and Miz definitely top two. Ben on our texting line says Harrison has been a big surprise for me. That guy is a ton of fun to watch pitch a ball game. I agree. Harrison is really fun to watch. I love watching that kid pitch. That kid, I shouldn't even say a kid. He pitches like he's been doing this for a while. Sky's the limit for this one. The Brewers are right now, they may have fleeced the Red Sox with that trade. To trade Caleb Durbin, Andrew Monasterio, and Siegler, even if they would have just gotten Kyle Harrison in return with the way that Kyle Harrison is pitching, that guy has been awesome. He has been awesome so far. Again, 6 games. He's 3-1 with a 2.12 ERA. Man, I wish he was pitching on Sunday on Mother's Day so I could see him in person. Going to the game on Sunday. But that dude has been he between him and Mizorowski, watching those two guys pitch is just it's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty, for crying out loud. They're like power pitchers. They're making you look silly. You throw in a little Coleman Crow action into this thing. Talk about pitchers making you look silly. Throw a little Coleman Crow into this thing with his breaking ball. Sick. Absolutely sick. There is one pitcher I want to kind of talk a little bit about because I think he has quietly been having a really, really good season, and maybe give him a little bit of a shout out here, and that's DL Hall. Now, DL Hall, remember, was a part of the Corbin Burns trade package. Him and Joey Ortiz, plus the pick in return for Corbin Burns. And DL Hall has been a guy that has gone through some injuries the past couple of years. Initially thought of as a starter, then maybe kind of an opener, and now he's really been a versatile option. He's kind of like Aaron Ashby in the sense. And, you know, we've talked a lot about Aaron Ashby and just how well he has done and I think has really grown into his role for this team. Has become a really good pitcher. But DL Hall has done the same. I mean, the 17th and the 19th, he gave up his first run of the season on April 17th. And it was a big run at that point. And then the 19th, he gave up 2. But he has bounced back and not given up a single run since. And then, in fact, you look at the 22nd against Detroit, 2 innings, 32 pitches, 2 1/3 against Arizona. No earned runs in either one of those contests. He has pitched in some big moments and such, and I would just wonder now, too, with the injury of Zerpo, who's probably going to be done for this season. Does a guy like DL Hall kind of come into those situations, those high pressure, high leverage, type of situations? I think you keep Aaron Ashby in the role that he's at. And he could be another option there too. But DL Hall, he's appeared in 13 games so far this season. and he has struck out 17 batters in just over 14 innings so far this year. Between him and Aaron Ashby coming out of the pen, those two guys have given this ball club some flexibility, some length when needed, and they've pitched really well. You know, Aaron Ashby 5-0 with a 2.57 ERA. He's pitched in 21 innings so far this year. But I wanted to throw out a little bit of a shout out to DL Hall, because this is a guy that has been the last couple of years just kind of, pegged with injuries. And you're kind of wondering, okay, is he going to be a starter? Is it going to work out? What is his role? And so far this year, he's done really well. And I think you got to give a tip of the cap to him. Opponent's batting average against him, 184. And right now, I believe that is, second best on the ball club, only behind Jacob Mizorowski at 172. Oh, yeah, because then you got Grant Anderson, who's 196. Grant Anderson, too, I mean, he's 1-1. He's pitched in 17 games, 3.31 ERA, but just a 196 batting average going up against him. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off. We're going to hit up halftime here, so keep your Brewers thoughts coming as we get set for a big series going up against the Cardinals starting tonight. It's kind of like NL Central watch tonight, because you've got the Pirates taking on the Diamondbacks, but then it's Brewers, Cardinals, and Cubs taking on the Reds. That's another big series in the division in the NL Central. So, but we'll continue. Plenty more baseball talk coming up here. We've got, we did bring up the Jackson Cheerio stuff earlier on there, Zach. So we'll hit it up a little bit later on in that. But more Brewers talk coming up a little bit later on. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. So continue to send me your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. We'll get to some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center in the 9 o'clock hour, along with our Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam. It's halftime. We got some news updates, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, halftime is over with. We are on to the third quarter. The third hour kicks off right now. Thanks for hanging out with us, whether it's on the radio dials at 105.1 FM or 790 AM online. You can stream us up at sportstalk1051.com, WYYradio.com. We've got your app. Download it, take it on the go. Video stream is also up and rolling on YouTube. You can join in on the Section 105 chat room over there, or that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. So we'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up here in just a little bit as we get set for Brewers-Cardinals, game one of a 3-game series. We got Chad Patrick on the mound tonight for the Brew Crew. Brewers coming off of a series win with the Nationals. When you look across where things are at in Major League Baseball standings-wise, first of all, the Cubs just can you lose some games coming up here? But in the AL East, we'll start off with the American League. The Yankees ahead with Tampa Bay just 1.5 back, and then there's a gap because third place Toronto, they're 7 games behind. So right now, at least, in the American League East, it looks to be the Yankees and the Rays as the two teams chasing for that division lead. In the AL Central, it's close, but maybe not in terms of greatest, win-loss margins and such. Cleveland, 18-17, along with Detroit's 18-17. You've got the Chicago White Sox, who are in third. They're just 1.5 games back, 16-18. Kansas City, 2.5 back, and then the Minnesota Twins, just 3 back. 4 of the 5 teams, negative run differentials. The only positive is the Tigers at a plus 18. Kind of the same with the AL West. Similar story. There's only one team right now in the AL West. One team that has a winning record. No other team is above 500 right now. The top team, you did it, the Athletics so far. 18-16, 2 games above 500. Wow. Next up is the Rangers, 16-18. Seattle, 16-19. They have a plus 2 run differential. That's best in the AL West. National League. Let's start with the National League East. You've got the Braves at 25-10. They are just cruising in this division right now. Cruising. This is a division with Philly, the Mets, and it's Phillies and the Mets, the 2 bottom feeders in this division. Braves are a plus 81 run differential. Everybody else is negative. The Phillies, minus 43. The Mets, minus 31. And then in the NL West, it's Dodgers. The Padres are just a half game back. Those are the only 2 teams that are above 500. Arizona's third. And then, of course, we know about the Central, still the best division in baseball right now, where every single team has a winning record. Cubbies, Cardinals, Reds, Brewers, Pirates. But you look across Major League Baseball, okay, as we are into the first full week of May now. The AL East, I don't think anybody's surprised with the Yankees at the top. Tampa Bay is just always there. We shouldn't be too surprised at it. It is surprising to see how poorly Boston is this year, and a little bit of a slow start for Toronto. AL Central, Cleveland's at top. Detroit's on top. Probably maybe a little surprised that Detroit's only just 1 game above 500 at this point. Kansas City's been a disappointment. 4 games under 500. Maybe a surprise with the White Sox. Pat Murphy, remember that opening series against the White Sox? Pat Murphy was very complimentary towards the White Sox, saying they're a young team, but they're going to be good. Well, right now they're just 2 games under 500. They've been 7-3 in their last 10. But the AL West, man, the Athletics. Hey, there was some talk about the Athletics. I got to give props to Mike Gibb. When we did preseason picks, he picked the Athletics to come out of the West, and we got a long ways to go here. But, man, just one team with a winning record in the AL West, and it's the Athletics. The NL East. The Braves are proving those out there who were very high on the Braves this year. Man, pat yourself on the backs. Now we'll see. Ronald Acuna Jr. is a little bit banged up with the hamstring, but man, 25-10 to begin the year. And then, of course, we all know the situations going on with the Mets and the Phillies. Easily, and the two biggest disappointments. With the Giants, they're at the bottom of their division too. They're 13-21. They've lost 6 in a row. Remember, they did something different this offseason and brought in a college manager to lead this ball club. Be curious to see how this thing continues throughout the season and at the end of the season. Where the Giants finish up on that thing. Because, it was a risk. You don't see it too often. Even, Pat Murphy, we talk about Pat Murphy with his college, days. But remember, he was a manager with the Padres for an interim. Then, obviously, Council's bench guy. So, he was cutting his teeth at the major league level before being the manager of the Brewers right now. Tony comes in, right? Was it Tennessee? Straight up to the majors. So, but that's kind of where things are at this point in time in the month of May. But all right. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk coming up here in just a little bit. You can continue to send us your thoughts on Mizorowski. Kind of an informal poll question. Are you ready to label him a Major League Baseball ace? Yay or nay? About 50-50 right now for a lot of you. About 50%. Where are you on that side? All right, you can send those on over. We've got Zach says, fun little fact for Mizorowski. Fun little fact, the Miz has thrown over 100 pitches, over 100 miles per hour. I think the next closest guy is only at about 35 pitches. I know on Friday night, he was wheeling and dealing over 100 miles per hour at that point. But all right. Hey, we'll take a quick break. Plenty more baseball talk coming up. We'll be right back after these quick words. Road trip season is right around the corner. Are you and your vehicle ready to go the distance? Before you hit the highway, make sure that your vehicle is in top shape with the help from AJM Automotive. From oil changes and tire checks to brakes and engine work, their experienced team will make sure that you're ready for wherever the road takes you. And now with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire, getting your vehicle serviced has never been easier. Plan the trip and AJM Automotive will handle the rest. Visit ajmautomotiveservices.com to schedule your appointment today. We've got a VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. This comes from Dave. Dave says best of the weekend. Got to give a shout out to Blue Gold Baseball being back in the WIAC Conference Tournament. That's a good one. We'll touch on that a little bit more coming up in the next hour for our local sports roundup, but. Yeah, Blue Gold Baseball, they're back into the WIAC Conference Tournament for the first time since 1995. Blue Gold Softball also in the WIAC Conference Tournament, so they will be in action later on this week. So, but again, we'll hit that up in our local sports roundup, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center, but definitely big time tip of the cap to Coach Patrick for Blue Gold Baseball. Obviously, Coach Leslie Huntington, Hall of Famer, getting their teams back to the conference tournaments too. So it's been a fun season for Blue Gold Baseball if you've been following along and such. So, but yeah, that's a good one. Appreciate that text. We got another best and the worst week from the weekend. Excuse me. Best of the weekend says Sam is Brewers taking 2 out of 3. Worst was my Wild losing last night. Wild dropping a 9-6 game to the Colorado Avalanche. So, high-scoring hockey game. Kind of like a low-scoring NFL game. But later on today, we're going to be hearing from Jonathan Gannon, new defensive coordinator for the Packers. It's the first time that we are actually going to hear from Jonathan Gannon. So, in the first hour, was it first hour or second hour? It might have been second hour, actually. We kind of threw out, what would you ask Jonathan Gannon if you were going to that press conference? First time he has talked since being hired to the defensive coordinator position for the Packers. Rick, a little bit earlier, had texted in saying, this defense is in a unique situation. Priority number 1 is Parsons' role in the defense. I think that more players will be in specific roles in the front 7. Defense will transform as Parsons and Wyatt's snaps increase. The key to the season is LaFleur having the offense playing great. Needs to crack the whip this training camp. LaFleur did chat a little bit on Friday too with the media because it was rookie orientation, rookie camp this past weekend and such. And I don't want to dive into just tryout players and first glimpses of rookies and such, but. Just a couple of notes. One thing was kind of cool to see some of this was the first glimpse of some of the rookies. One cool thing I did see, Dennis Sutton, before he did his media session by his locker, introduced himself to every single media person that was there, shook hands, asked for their name, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought kind of a cool thing there too. But there was a comment from Matt LaFleur, though, I thought was maybe a little bit interesting. Not a whole lot was said, but he did say that, and this was from Matt Schneidman, I've been trying to do a better job of not just going to the quarterback room. I've been in a bunch of different rooms. Now, when you first hear that or you first read that, my mind instantly went, okay, the last few years, was he just exclusively in the quarterback room, hanging out with the quarterbacks, working with the quarterbacks? On the surface, it makes sense. That's his bread and butter. That's where he cut his teeth. Quarterback's coach, right? That's his go-to. That's his area of expertise. But in the same breath, it's like, but you're also a head coach. You delegate to the quarterback's coaches. You delegate to a lot of coaches. You mingle around. Should you be more involved in these other rooms? It kind of gave me flashbacks to Mike McCarthy. Towards the end of his tenure, Mike McCarthy had talked about he was being more involved in the defensive meetings and such. And I think that was towards the end of the Dom Capers era. but he had talked about, being more involved in the defensive meetings and such. But, it just kind of caught me a little bit off guard, and I'm sure other coaches are just like that. Spending a lot more time in a certain room. If you're an offensive-minded head coach, you're probably spending a lot more time in offensive meetings, especially if you're the play caller. And I get it, because the other part in this whole thing, too, is Matt LaFleur is the offensive play caller. So, yes, he should be probably spending more time in the quarterback room, getting on the same page, the same game plan as his quarterback. So I hope a lot of people aren't overreacting to the quote, to the line from him saying, why isn't he working with the other team? This is why he doesn't have a good grasp on this team. And could he do a better job of it? Absolutely. And it sounds like he's at least trying to. But at the same breath, yeah, if there is a room that he's going to spend some more time in, it should be the quarterback room if he's going to continue to be the play caller, which he is. It makes sense. He did say, too, about Lucas Van Ness that he's an important piece. We feel he's in a pretty good spot right now. Been watching him rehab and do all that. I know he's in a good headspace. Not really anything else that, this was when Chase Claypool was spotted. He said he's had great film out there. He's been productive, and he looks like he's in great shape, and he's big. We'll see how it goes. And right now, the Packers did not sign any of their tryout players from this past weekend. So, other than that, not a whole lot from LaFleur, from his presser. But a few of you have texted in what you would ask Jonathan Gannon, and a couple of you said, what was it about Green Bay? Why did you take the Green Bay job? And another texter, this is from another Matt that we have texting and saying, I would ask him, is he going to play more 3-4 or 4-3? And Richard says he would ask Jonathan Gannon, does he view Hargrave as the nose tackle, the rookie, or Devontae Wyatt? Okay. Yeah, I guess for, just to kind of revisit a couple of mine that I'd throw out there, I'd probably be, what did he learn? Is there something that he learned from his experience as a head coach that could better suit him as a play caller in his second run as a defensive coordinator? Was there something? Obviously he was a successful defensive coordinator with the Eagles, leading them to a Super Bowl appearance. So it helped him get the job as a head coach with the Cardinals. But looking at his last couple years with the Cardinals, is there something that maybe he learned that he feels like it would better suit him as a defensive coordinator in a position that, let's face it, it's a big spotlight. There's pressure on it. There's pressure on this whole team. There's pressure on the head coach and the offensive side. There's pressure on the defense and the defensive coordinator because you are in a win-now mode. The goal is championship. So was there something that he experienced as a head coach, or maybe kind of something, maybe I don't know how exactly to phrase this, but was there something that he feels he learned during his time as being the main guy in charge that could help him become a better play caller, defensive play caller? And, I think obviously he was probably drew to Green Bay I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I would imagine a couple things that drew him to Green Bay. One, get to coach Micah Parsons on defense. Two, you're on a team that's got Super Bowl championship aspirations. It's a talented team. Going to mention. And, scheme-wise, schematically, I don't know if he's really going to, I doubt it, he's going to showcase his cards and tell everybody his game plan and such, but I'd be curious to know what he's going to do with his safeties. You hear a lot about he likes to play three safeties. Does that mean Javon Bullard moves out of that slot nickel role and transitions more into a typical safety, that shell type of coverage back there. How does he view the corner situation? Is he going to be aggressive with the corners? More zone, more press coverage with that? How does he view that? And yeah, I guess going back to the defensive tackle thing too, you look at some of the depth charts, they've got Hargrave listed as nose tackle, but is that his best spot? Can he kind of get Hargrave playing at the level he was when they were together in Philadelphia? There's definitely, and then we're going to hear from the special teams coordinator here today too. And I think to me that's the interesting one here, because when it comes to special teams and specifically the kicking game, I mean, he's coming into a situation where he's probably not that all familiar with how Lambeau Field plays in terms of the kicking game, because you hear Mason Crosby always talk about it. You heard Aaron Rodgers always talk about it, that the winds are different. They swirl differently inside Lambeau Field. Well, now you've also got a rookie kicker competing that probably has, no pun intended, a leg up on Brandon McManus. They're expecting Smack to take that job. But once you get into Lambeau, maybe when the temperatures cool off a little bit, you've got a brand new special teams coordinator coming in, pairing up with a potential rookie kicker. That's going to be an interesting kind of dynamic to follow once we get to that season. All right, we got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though, coming up after these quick words. Coming up next weekend, it's Barbecue Fest going on at the Northern Wisconsin State Fairgrounds Friday and Saturday. We'll be there for a little bit with our good friends from Mike's Star Market on Saturday. But you can head on over to nwsfa.com and just click on BBQ Fest at the top there for details like your event schedule. They've got vendors going on, cornhole tournament, live music, backyard grilling competition, and such. So, but we'll be over there on Saturday for a little bit, hanging out with our good friends from Mike's Star Market. And then at 1 p.m., you've got the People's Choice Sampling opens at competitors' booths. 2 regular 9-pound pork loins are provided to each team, courtesy of Mike's Star Market. So winner drawn for brats, hot dogs, and burger package at 2 o'clock, 3 p.m., the People's Choice voting submission deadline, and then the winner drawn at 4. So a lot of good things happening, or a lot of stuff is going to be going on that day at the Northern Wisconsin State Fairgrounds for BBQ Fest. Looking forward to it for sure. Somebody had texted in asking, when does Taylor Jenkins have his intro presser for the Bucks, and when is the draft lottery? So that's all this week. It looks like Taylor Jenkins is going to have his introductory press conference with the Bucks on Wednesday. So that'll be on Wednesday, and then the draft lottery is actually this weekend on the 10th. So Sunday, we'll find out where the Bucks are potentially going to be drafting with the upcoming draft. So yeah, that's all happening this week. And I'm sure, when we get to Wednesday, we'll do our little thing we do once in a while. What would you ask Taylor Jenkins and that? And I think we all know what the main questions are going to be. Have you talked to Giannis? What's the status of Giannis? Is Giannis going to be back? And you can probably already tell what the answer is going to be. Would love to have him back, still working through, or just very generic, very, non-newsworthy at this point. But yeah, I've been creeping on Giannis's Instagram every once in a while. Every time I see him that he's posting up a new story, I'm like, okay, is there anything with Bucks related or that? And it's been fairly quiet, but I think I still think if you're the Bucks and the decision is he's going to be traded, don't you do it before the draft? Because all the experts continue to say that this draft is really good. It's got some really good talent in this thing. So if that decision is made that Giannis is going to be gone, that he's going to be traded, don't you do it for this year's picks? Don't you try to at least do that for this, like a high pick from this year's draft? Now, I know there was a rumor over the weekend, too, that apparently the Trailblazers are a team that is going to be heavy in their interest to acquire Giannis, which, right now you look at the Trailblazers and you look, hey, Drew Holiday, hey, Dave's over there too. So, again, let's because then I saw the Celtics were a team mentioned, which, after their short stint in the playoffs, first round exit, sure, their name's going to be brought up to try to kind of maybe recoup or regroup and that. But there's going to insert team name here and insert a top team or a playoff team. You're probably going to find a report that's going to be linking them with Giannis. Just really quick, if you're wondering about the odds, top odds for the NBA draft lottery, Washington has the top one along with Indiana and Brooklyn. They're both all three are at 14%. Utah's at 11.5%. Sacramento's 11.5%. Grizzlies 9%. The Pelicans 9.7%. Dallas 6.7%. Chicago 4.5%. Milwaukee 3%. Golden State 2%. Clippers 1.5%. Okay. Is this the same one on here? Yeah. Okay. Milwaukee's got the 10th best ones, it looks like. All right. And again, they can't have the number. If they get the number one, it's going to be traded. So I'm definitely curious to see where they get it, what number they're going to get at this point. And does that affect any of this stuff? Even so say if they get Giannis, or say they're going to hold on to Giannis. They keep Giannis. Then does that pick become a trade chip to get talent that can help right now, or like a veteran to bring over? I feel like the draft is kind of the deadline with a lot of this stuff. If you trade Giannis, or the decision is to be moving on from Giannis, you do it now to get those picks for this year's draft. You keep Giannis. Okay, do you trade this year's pick, which is a lottery pick, to go get somebody that's out there? Or I guess the third option is you keep Giannis and you hope that this rookie, wherever they may be drafted, is going to be able to help Giannis right away. But I feel with that draft coming up on June 23rd, so about a month and a couple weeks, I feel like that's going to be the deadline, and that's when we're going to find out things when it comes to Giannis. And I don't have a good gauge either way. That's where I'm kind of interested to hear what Taylor Jenkins has to say on Wednesday. Has he talked to Giannis? It's almost like the whole Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers thing now. Mike McCarthy gets hired. First couple questions, Aaron Rodgers. Have you talked to Aaron Rodgers? What's the status of Aaron Rodgers? And if Taylor Jenkins comes in and says, I have not talked to Giannis, it might be a little bit of a light bulb. Like, oh, okay. So I'm at least hoping that he comes out there and says, yep, we talked, we've had good conversations, and now we don't know if that'll actually be true or not, but it is what it is. So, all right, we got to take our final break for the third hour. We'll get back to some more baseball talk. Coming up next hour, we've got our local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. We'll hit up the Blue Golds and Stout and then some prep stuff as well. We've got some Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam coming your way a little bit later on here too. But we're getting set for game one of this series with the Cardinals. Chad Patrick on the mound for the Brew Crew. It's a big early May series considering where things are at in this tightly contested National League Central. And then you're probably keeping an eye on that Cubs and Reds series too. But Brewers just 3.5 back from first place. Lots of baseball left to be played, as we obviously know. But it's a division series with, some early importance right now. So it could affect the standings and potential playoffs when we get later on in the season. So let's talk some more baseball, shall we? We'll take our final break in the third hour and be right back after these quick words. Speaking of the 250th birthday of Team America USA, starting on June 1st, I'm working on it right now, but starting on June 1st, up until the 4th of July, so it'll be July 3rd will be our last when we do it. I am working on a list that, hey, if you want to help contribute and help out, I'm an open book here. But a list of the top 250 most important / biggest sports things, games, items, events to happen in the last 250. Okay, USA-wise, not world, USA-wise. So I'm putting together a list of 250 of the most important, most iconic, or the best sports items, events, games. Like if you were to write the history of USA sports from the last 250 years, what would you put in there? And it could be a certain game. Like, for example, the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey is definitely going to be on there. You can put an event. You can put, maybe like the emergence of the NFL or something like that. It could be something like that. So I'm putting together a list. I'm working on it right now, but I could use your help too. So if you've got a few that you would say, hey, of the last 250 years in the world in the sports, American sports history, you got to put this on there. Hit me up on the email. Put it on the podcast email, okay? mancavepodmail@gmail.com. So I'm going to put it on. It'll be an on the air thing. It'll be on the podcast thing and that. But I've got it worked out. So starting in June, let me bring up the calendar here. So yeah, that Monday, June 1st, every weekday leading up to July 3rd, which is a Friday, we're going to do 10 each day in honor of America's 250th birthday. So I could use your help if you want to. Otherwise, I've got my list and I'm rolling with it right now. So, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some, but definitely it's pretty open-ended. It could be, the first World Series. It could be, Jackie Robinson, those things. Definitely. There's a lot of them. If you really start to think about it, there's a lot of them. I know, like, when you think about the number 250, you're like, geez, is there enough? There's enough. Believe me, there's definitely enough. So that should be fun. And I'm looking forward to, and I'm not going to rank them. I just think that's too hard to do. Like this is the best one, or this was, 250. I don't want to do that. Just looking at 250 sports things. So, but yeah, hit me up, mancavepodmail@gmail.com with your picks or with your nominations. Coming up next hour, we'll get to our local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center, Justice Cleveland, WEAU 13 News will be joining us. So we'll break that down with him. We'll also do a little Glory Days with him, brought to you by Summer Jam. Brewers are back at it tonight, taking on the Cardinals. It seems like Andrew Vaughn's going to be with the team. Don't know about Jackson Chirio anymore after following a ball off his ankle/foot. X-rays were negative, but could it have a slight delay in his return to the lineup? We'll see. But could we see another player in the lineup and maybe making his debut? And that's one Cooper Pratt. Cooper Pratt yesterday was a late scratch from the lineup card. Nothing officially official yet of reasons why. I know Bryce Terang was sick yesterday, but that might have been just one game sort of thing. But could we see the debut of one Cooper Pratt this week? You look at that left side of the infield, it probably wouldn't be too big of a surprise if they decided to make a move. And right now, according to, this was a number or a statistic that I referenced a little bit earlier, the top hitting prospects over the past week by the Scout the Statline Prospect Pulse, Cooper Pratt was number one. You had a couple Brewers in the top six. Cooper Pratt was number one. Luis Lara was 3. Jet Williams was 6. But Cooper Pratt has been hitting the ball incredibly well as of late, something that we talked about on Friday. So is it possible that he maybe makes his debut today, this week? So not only could the Brewers get Andrew Vaughn and Jackson Chourio this week, maybe the debut of their new shortstop. And you look at the numbers from the left side at Joey Ortiz and Rengifo and Hamilton. They're not eye-popping. Now, Hamilton's numbers, when you kind of look at it, average-wise, he's way better than Ortiz and Luis. And Hamilton at least has a little bit more position flexibility with his ability to play short, third, and second. But the guy's got speed. He can lay down a bunt and get on base and turn that into a double with his ability to steal that bag. So let's say Cooper Pratt is called up. Who's the odd man out? I think it's Joey Ortiz. I think it's Ortiz because Rengifo can play third. I think he's played a little second, but he's also even gotten reps at first. Ortiz has, yes, he could play third, and he's obviously a shortstop too, but I wonder if it's Ortiz. Or maybe they keep him as the bench guy for a defensive replacement. I don't know. I feel like Hamilton's probably the guy that of those three is the most safe because of his ability to bunt the ball, his speed. He's already tied with Terang for the most steals on his team with 7. And the fact that he could play all across the infield. Maybe except first. You probably don't want him at first. But it might be time that we finally get Cooper Pratt up. That'd be... I think if you polled Brewers fans, they'd be pumped about that. It might be a big week this week to get not only Vaughn and Chourio back, but the debut of Cooper Pratt. All right, we'll talk more baseball, though, with JC coming up next hour as we get set for the series against the Cardinals. It'll be on the road before the Brewers return home this weekend to take on the Yankees, a Yankees team that is just on fire right now, too, and especially Aaron Judge. So one game at a time, one series at a time, though. So, but we'll talk some more baseball coming up in the next hour. You can continue to send us your best and worst from the weekend, your VFW post at 305 best and worst from the weekend. All right, or if you just want to do best or just worst, you don't have both, that's fine. You can send those via that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick text at 715-830-1912, or you can join in on the Section 105 chat room. So, but nice. Zach says, got checked by the DNR on Saturday. They were doing licenses checks. Couple of nice guys. I told them I was DK, joking, but I did ask them if they knew Jake. And, yeah, he's their supervisor. That's a cool story. Thanks for sharing that, Zach. Hey, if you had any luck, anybody out there, whether it was opening fishing or maybe you're still having some luck turkey hunting, don't forget to send those photos. We'll post them up on the Sports Talk Facebook page. So go to the Sports Talk Facebook page and just send the message over there, and we'll post it up and do a little bragging on your behalf. So if you had any luck, send it on over to the Sports Talk Facebook page, and we'll post that up. I'm hoping to get out on the water here soon and wet some lines. It was just the perfect weekend to do so this past weekend, and not able to, but oh well. We got time, right? All right, shot clock's going to cut me off in less than a minute, so we'll get to our news updates, and then we'll get Justice in here, and we'll talk some baseball. And like I mentioned, we'll talk local sports roundup, Blue Gold baseball, back in the WIAC tournament for the first time since 1995. Softball's back in the WIAC tournament, too. I know we just had track and field WIAC championships, so we'll talk some college and we'll talk some high school as we inch a little bit closer and closer maybe to some postseason play here on the prep side of things as well. And then plus we'll do our Summer Jam Glory Days segments coming up in the final hour. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back after these quick news updates for the final quarter, the final hour of the program after these quick words. All right, final hour kicking off on this Monday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us, depending on where you are listening to us from. I shouldn't say depending, no matter where you're listening to us from or how you're listening to us. We're going to get back to some more Brewers talk coming up here in just a little bit as the crew gets set for their series against the Cardinals. We'll preview that game coming up here in just a little bit, but we've got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
It looked like you're getting ready to go golf. You going to go try to hit the course today? No?
Not today. I don't know if it's windy out there.
Oh,
I know,
don't use that as an excuse. Choke up on
it's
the
always
five.
You always got to have an excuse.
Right.
That's the built-in one. No, I know they have a bunch of high schoolers are going to be at the country club today for the Chippewa Valley Championship. That's what it's,
nice.
Elk Mound's hosting that, like kind of an invite that I believe this is the first year they're having it, so that'll be going on. They're going to be battling some gusts out there.
Nice,
but they're good. They're all good.
So fine. Well, speaking of that, want to do some local sports roundup?
Sure, why not?
By Carpet City, Florida. Sir, first off, shout out Blue Gold Baseball back to the WIAC tournament for the first time since 1995.
How awesome is that? Them and River Falls both teams that didn't exist 10 years ago are now both back in the WIAC tournament. So I think that's awesome for them. And that's a lot of pressure going into that final week period. But to have that final series with River Falls basically determine what's going to happen and get the split and get yourself in, and now you got a chance. You never know. You never know what can happen there. And, it's been there was a ton of runs in some of those games that's going on, but that's kind of what happens there. But, you go to that tournament, you never know. They played well against Whitewater. Mm-hmm. They battled them in some of those games. So you can get to that point. You never know. So I really have watched that team, and it's been fun to kind of watch them kind of just crawl up this season and just get more and more confidence. And, you have like De La Toba, holy cow. Mm-hmm. Like back-to-back complete game. Yeah. That doesn't happen in any level anymore. For him to go 18 innings in both those games and get the victory, and much-needed victories, and now they're in the conference tournament. So, when they brought that, there was always been excitement about the baseball team, but, it's nice to see them now get back in the conference tournament. And Patrick's done a great job there of leading that team. And, it's got a great supporting staff, a lot of guys with Eau Claire ties that are on that coaching staff there, and got a lot, they know the area for recruiting. They've been able to, it's really been fun to see the last couple of years here. And now got a chance. You never know. I think you get in there, you're in the tournament, you always have a chance to make it to the NCAA tournament. So, and
for anybody who doesn't know just why this is kind of a big deal too, there's only 4 teams in this WIAC tournament. Yeah. There's just 4 of them. It's not like everybody's in there.
Exactly. Or, most of them now, the WIACs, it's very selective compared to what, it used to be almost every team got in. Now it's half the teams, if that, sometimes. So.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned Coach Patrick, what he's kind of done the last couple of years since coming over here too. It's been awesome to see this rise. And with Eau Claire being such a huge baseball community, I bet you there's got to be a lot of people excited about this too.
Oh, yeah. I think this will be great to see them. Now they'll go over, I believe it's at Whitewater for the conference tournament there. Whitewater, who's just been on a heater of all heaters. I think they've won over, I don't know if it broke this week, but they had a 31-game winning streak going into the weekend.
Oh, geez, yeah. Yeah, because I think Blue Gold's play lacrosse.
Yep.
But the tournament, is that, and then River Falls plays Whitewater.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, got a lot of area. There are a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of area kids just with the ties there, with getting River Falls lacrosse.
Yep.
And Eau Claire all over there. So I think all of them are going to be gnawing at the bit there to try to be the one that could knock off Whitewater. It'll take a lot to do, but I think it's baseball. Exactly. You're thinking on the same way.
Yep.
We've seen crazier things happen, so I think it's possible.
Exactly. And then softball's also back in the WIAC tournament too. Yep. I know they're a 4 seed, just barely. It was like Whitewater. I know they're like standings with same as Whitewater, but Whitewater just took down the Blue Gold. So I think Whitewater's a 3 seed then.
Yep.
But Blue Golds, Coach Huntington got the crew back in the WIAC tournament too, and that's going to be going on later this week.
Yeah, they've got the bats. I think they've got the bats. Pitching might be more the question mark to see what they can do, but I think they have some solid pitching in there too. It's just it's going to be tough, going over there in Oshkosh for that tournament there. Yeah. But we've seen them. That's a team that battles with everybody and hangs with any team.
Yep.
Be it if it is a low scoring game or if it's a high scoring game, they find a way. So. no matter what the seed is, they've got a chance there to walk away with a WIAC title. So
we'll
see what happens.
Yeah. So I know track and field also, they just had their WIAC championships this past week. Both the men's and women's teams top 3 for the Blue Golds on there too.
It's crazy how quickly this stuff, especially the college ranks, like we enter May and now it's tournament time.
Right. Yeah. So I mean it's golf, I know tennis and all that kind of wrapping up here too and that, but yeah, so it's graduation for Blue Golds and that's just a couple weeks away. So
right, I know.
Sense.
It's so funny how quickly the spring season's so quick. The spring, it starts a lot of it with them going down south and going to a lot of places. So by the time you get to May, everything's starting to wrap up. So yeah, I mean, and now in like high school, we'll start rolling into the couple weeks here. We'll start rolling into the playoffs. So conference stuff will start, tournaments will start coming up here.
That's kind of where I was going to ask you, like for baseball, maybe softball, and that too is still just a couple weeks left. Of the regular season.
Yeah, a couple weeks. I think Philip in our office has a tally, and I think in 2 weeks we'll start some of the playoffs there, some of the postseason as track and field. Because track's end of May.
Yeah.
For the state track's the first weekend in June. So
yeah.
It doesn't take long for us to get there. So yeah, a couple weeks here we'll wrapping that up. I know golf too will be, one of the first. So big week for Big Rivers. I think it's got 2 tournaments in the area, and then like I said, you got that Chippewa Valley one hosted by Elk Mound. So got a chance to go over to Bloomer and watch their invite. I didn't get to see the jacket presentation. Apparently, they have a really awesome jacket presentation. And the guy comes up, he's like, "It's really ugly," and it's like, I was like, I wish I could have stayed for that. I think Brandon was there a couple years ago for that, but yeah, that was fun to get out there. I actually, it was funny. It was the first time I'd ever been over to the Memorial Course there in Bloomer, and it was really fun. It is a lot of, you got to keep your head on a swivel. There are a lot of holes that are, but it was a really neat setup, and I think the golfers really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Still soccer going on too? Because I thought at Memorial, was it Friday night they had a game on their field too?
They had the Bedminster Memorial Tournament going on in the area there. So North, McRegis, and then, of course, Memorial were all in action over the weekend. So getting that and kind of tying in a little bit to the Memorial. Yesterday, Nora Kling, I think it was over the weekend, committed to UW Green Bay, or just Green Bay. I say that it's funny because my wife went to Green Bay.
So it's just Green Bay?
But she still calls it UW Green Bay. It's Milwaukee's technically just Milwaukee.
Okay.
But they are still part of the UW system.
Right.
But yeah, so Nora Kling going to arguably, the best women's basketball program.
At least right now, until Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's been making. Marquette's had some really good years too. But yeah, that's great for her to locked in as a sophomore now.
Yeah,
she'll be heading over there to play for a really, really good program that has always been supported in that area. So I think that's a really good fit for her. She's battling back after suffering an injury during the basketball season, so she's not playing soccer right now. So, but yeah, I think that's a great fit for her. I think she'll really enjoy going over. It's just good facilities. It really is a program that for the last, I want to say 20, but almost 30 years, has been making NCAA tournaments and winning their conference tournament. So if you can have that, I think she'll be a really good fit on that team.
Absolutely. So, yeah, just kind of we're at that point, just wrapping up some regular seasons and getting set for those conference tournaments or postseason stuff here.
Yeah, it's May. Hopefully the weather can soon make it feel like tournament weather. Today's not too bad. But yeah, we drop back down in those 50s.
Right.
When you're shooting a baseball game and that temperature drops to like 50, it's fine for like the first. Like I shot Blue Gold softball last Tuesday, and it was fine for like the first inning or two. But I'm standing up on a ladder. It was probably like today 17, 20 mile per hour winds. You just start to freeze after like 2 or 3 innings because you're just like there's no escape. The wind is the worst part, I think, of anything.
Right.
Like when you're up there and it's just like, okay, it's not like the wind chills much, but it's enough to just cut through everything you're wearing. So, yeah, I think anybody who covers sports this time of year is like, okay, we're kind of sick of the 50s.
Yeah.
Now, do I want 90s directly to like come right away? No. We could have like just some comfortable 70-degree days. It seems like we've had it on the weekends, but not during the week. So this is just me complaining, but
old man on the yard
when I'm pulling out the gloves to shoot stuff in May, it's not what you want to be doing.
Hey, just think in a few weeks at the end of the month, the Express are going to be on the field.
Oh, exactly.
Too. I was thinking about that this past weekend. How it's just we're a few weeks away from that.
Memorial, usually Memorial weekend. weekend. But.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah,
because they come in like the day or two before that.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, it's usually just like us trying to run over there. Those guys are just getting their jerseys and maybe getting one little BP session on the field there before they're in action.
So I think CRBL just started this past weekend too.
I know the Cavs had their first home opener this weekend. So yeah, I mean we're getting into summer baseball mode too.
Right.
So.
Exactly. All right, that's your local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Let's take a quick break, and we'll talk some more baseball with the Brewers getting set to take on the Cardinals. We'll be right back after these quick words. Chad Patrick will be on the hill tonight as the Brewers visit the Cardinals in St. Louis in a early season. I think we could say just how the division is going so far. Kind of a big series for early part of May. The Cardinals right now above the Brewers in the standings and such. Still the only division in the in the entire Major League Baseball with every team that has a winning record. Some teams only have one or barely above 500, and yet here we are with the NL Central where everybody's at least a couple games over 500.
And it's so crazy the way they did the schedule where there wasn't any, you had no divisional games until after a month of play. So
like the only one's the Pirates so far that the Brewers have played. So
and where years you've had them open against the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah. I'd have to go look at what their formula is at this point, but
maybe they just draw it out of a hat.
I feel sometimes it feels like that. But yeah, to have 5 teams right there. Mm-hmm. And the Cubs, I think everybody kind of a sneaky Cubs team this year, I would say.
Yeah. I know like the quote experts were high on the Cubs, but maybe doing a little bit better in the early goings. That maybe is that fair to say?
I would think so. I mean, it's so early. I think I don't think anybody's going to run away with this division.
I hope nobody is thinking that.
No, but I think it's going to be close.
Right.
I don't know if the Pirates will come back to earth at some point. A lot of young talent, obviously, on that Pirate squad.
And they invested a little bit this offseason, too. Yeah. I think for me right now, though, the biggest surprise might be the Cardinals in this division because everybody kind of thought this was a year just kind of, resetting and everything. And here they are at 20 wins, on May 4th above the Brewers in the division. So
I never count out the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. We talk about that even like when they're 15 games back in the division at the halfway park. You're like, still this team still could find a way. But, this is kind of like a rebuilding year for them. And not bad for a rebuilding year. So I think Cincinnati's that was kind of has been the talk. Is Cincinnati finally ready to kind of be that team? Mm-hmm. I think it comes down to the Cubs. I think the Pirates. I think at some point eliminate themselves, unless again Skeens and that company.
Got Connor there yet, and such, but
yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, it shows you how good they are against the rest of the league. That they're all above 500 at this point,
right?
And now they'll start beating each other up in the division.
Right.
So,
yeah. That's why I look at an early May series with the Cardinals. I know it's still early, but still fairly important because of division games and division standings, maybe when we're talking about this in September, and maybe we're looking at, hey, remember that series back in May? That might have been the difference maker in that. One game in that series.
And in that division, it's amazing how close it has come after 162 games.
Yep.
And obviously we've seen 163 get played before. They won't anymore, but back in the day when they did that.
Yep.
So every game, especially division-wise, does count. You have to make the most of those contests. So see what they can do against the Cards. Always I think the Cubs is kind of back taking that as maybe the number one rival, but
especially with Counsell there.
Yeah. But there was a while where I think the Cardinals were the Brewers' biggest nemesis.
You go back to, probably 82 World Series.
Right. So you have that.
2011, it was the Cardinals that knocked them out to go to the World Series.
Yep.
And I would say it was the Cardinals for the longest time, for sure.
And for a long time, they dominated that series. Like, it was so, the Brewers getting a win out of a 3-game series felt like a victory sometimes.
Right.
Because they just could not. I'm thinking back to the Giovanni Gallardo.
I was just going to say, yo-yo in that.
Yeah, that was just the team that had their number. So not so much lately, but it's kind of good to see the Cardinals. I mean, it may pain to say it. It's good to see the Cardinals back where they are because it makes for some really good contests.
Yeah, it's almost like the Brewers are almost like bear with me, almost the Vikings in that sense because it like Jeff Suppan, Cardinals, Kyle Loesch, Cardinals.
Yeah.
They're getting the cast-offs for what the Vikings for trying to make that not a great comparison, but it's like, you look at the Suppan. The Loesch one was probably better, even if it was for short term than compared to Jeff Suppan. But
Suppan was a hero for the Cardinals, not so much for the Brewers.
Nope.
I think his hero status will be that he ended up pitching so bad that they went and got CC.
Good old CC. So, Miz, though, over the weekend on Friday, just a gem until he got taken out. Cramp in the hamstring. Doesn't sound like it's anything serious, but
thankfully, after Woodruff leaves, and then maybe they've avoided anything major with him.
Right. That's shoulder inflammation they're calling. So
that's the one that kind of scares you because it's like you lose that much velocity and a guy who's got that history of just injuries to his arm.
Right.
So, and he's been pitching so well. But I was thinking, this is something you would never I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, is that they would have just kept him out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you would have thought, oh, he's lost 20 miles per hour on his, or not 20. He wasn't losing that much.
It was like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
But for them to catch that right away and be like, something's up here.
Right.
And you wonder if in between innings, he talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got through the first inning. But,
Yeah, he just said his arm was dead. I think, I've never really gone through that, but we kind of make comments like, my arm's dead, playing catch.
Yeah, and you've heard that with pitchers a lot. Like, he's getting a dead arm. But, you don't see it as much anymore because obviously they're not pitching. Guys aren't doing 200 and 300 innings like they back in the Nolan Ryan days and stuff like that. But
go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, you got to wonder, do they keep him as a starter? Is there a point where you're like.
Or does he go the John Smoltz route?
Yeah, like you're just, if he's not going to be able to.
Or Dennis Eckersley.
Yeah, you do the rest here and see what happens. But, man, that's a guy you really want to have healthy just because, not only because what he brings to the team, but what he has been as a clubhouse guy.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy who's, had a chance to leave the Brewers. The Brewers have a chance to let him go.
Right.
And he keeps coming back. So you kind of love that loyalty and want him to actually get that chance to show in a full season again what he can do.
I know it's a long ways down probably, and I don't even know if that's the thing, but you almost wonder with how well the Brewers continue to develop pitchers and whatever they are. It just feels like whenever his career's done, Brandon Woodruff would almost be like a natural pitching coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Within that Brewers organization, too. I mean, Jim Anderson obviously played for the Brewers for a little bit, too.
Yep.
Eventually, Chris Hook probably won't be there, and at some point, I could see Brandon Woodruff, if he ever wanted to be, kind of in that mold.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell people how good of a pitcher he is because of the injuries or what the first thing they think, but it's been 9 years. This is 10th season probably overall with the Brewers. 55 and 29. Now you're like, 55, that's not like, it's only 5 wins a season, but that winning percentage is amazing and a 3.12 ERA.
Yeah.
So when he's out there, he's arguably one of the more effective pitchers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Like a guy whose ERA is around 3, and a lot of those times is under 3.
Yeah.
So when he can do it, like this year, he's 3.60. But I mean, a couple of years ago when he was 5-1, then got injured, it's a 2.28 ERA.
Right.
Like he's a smart pitcher. It's not a guy who relies on just overpowering people. He knows to pick his spots. Like you said, I really do think that as a pitching coach, he would excel because he knows how to get guys out, even when he doesn't have his best stuff.
Right.
And he doesn't he gives up a long ball every once in a while, but never seems to rattle him.
Right.
He's a guy you never really see rattled. So even after he was coming off the mound, he's just like,
right.
No, this is what happens.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
Yeah, I think I think we're gonna give him the recommendation,
whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, that at some point that he's got that potential to be a really good coach.
Yep. We've got 3 pitchers though for the Brewers, 3 starting pitchers. Mizorowski, Kyle Harrison, and Chad Patrick all under 3 ERA.
Right.
2-something ERA.
They just keep doing a great job of bringing up these guys. And, we saw it with Fitzpatrick coming up last week. Kind of got in some trouble yesterday, but his first couple of appearances out of the bullpen, I liked what I was seeing from him with just some different speeds and just finding spots in the corners, getting guys to ground out.
Right.
So it's just like they just are so good. Like you were talking earlier, it's like they can really bring up these guys and find them the diamonds in the rough. They know what they want. And I think it goes the same with that scouting. They know what they want as fielders and guys out there in the field, but they also know what they want for pitchers. And if they find it, they find a way to really make those guys shine once they get them in their rotation.
Maximize what they do best, right? They really kind of hone in and focus on that a lot. You heard that a lot about Quinn Priester last year, how the Brewers just kind of got, and they really honed in on what he does best and really worked on that. Kind of similar with Kyle Harrison this year too.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what helps the Brewers is that reputation gets out there. Obviously, you see the last week the Red Sox throw and fire everybody basically.
Yeah.
And then one of the questions like, why are these guys going over to the Brewers and looking like the guys that we were supposed to have here?
Right.
But I think that reputation gets out to the Brewers that the Brewers know what they're doing player personnel-wise with people and give you a chance maybe if you haven't been able to succeed, if you were a higher draft pick or something with a different team. Andrew Vaughn, obviously, I think would be one of the biggest examples of that. A guy comes in and all of a sudden looks like the first-round pick that he was. So
right.
I think that's got to get around in the league that people know that the Brewers know how to handle people.
I just hope other teams don't pay more attention to that.
Yeah, I know. That's what because then you start losing your personnel guys too.
Right.
And you really don't want to lose it, but it's bound to happen with the success that the Brewers have had.
Right. Yep. So, tell you what, let's take a quick break, and then we'll have more Brewers talk here, because I do want to talk about maybe this is a big week for some guys coming back, or maybe making a debut for the Brewers here too. So we'll take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. So it sounds like the Brewers will get Andrew Vaughn back, maybe probably even for tonight. Jackson Chourio was supposed to be back same time. He did have a foul ball go off his foot/ankle. Now x-rays were negative, but maybe it delays it just a little bit. So, but anyway, we're going to get him back soon here. It's not the broken hamate bone or anything like that. So, and possibly maybe Cooper Pratt, because Pratt yesterday was a late scratch off the Nashville Sounds lineup card, and no official reason as to why yet. So, and he's been hitting really well as of late down in AAA. So, could we see not only the return of Andrew Vaughn and Jackson Chourio this week, but maybe the major league debut of newly extended Cooper Pratt too?
It's it's nice to hear. Obviously, with all the injuries that they've had now, pitching wise, I think it's been felt like more than. But like to have those guys not there for the start of the year, and then have Cooper Pratt have a chance to make his debut.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's exciting times. And that offense, obviously, yesterday wasn't a great offensive day. So they've been inconsistent, we can say. Obviously, we've seen them put up a bunch of runs in the series before. But, yeah, I anytime you get one of those blue chippers, you know, like a Cooper Pratt, who's, you know, they have so much faith in. And Chourio was the original blueprint for that, and see him succeed like he did when he came up. They know. I think they know what they have. So I think it would be really neat. And getting Vaughn back, I think that's just another guy who can give him some power.
Especially some right-handed bats, which is kind of a weird thing to say, that it felt like we were short-handed on right-handed bats.
It's not something you see here in baseball that much.
Right.
We get too many lefties right now. But, yeah, I think getting some power and some pop back, I mean, that's kind of what they've lacked. So a few, you know, like Sal started kind of getting going there a little bit. But not that I want them to be a home run driven team. But you need, you know, you want a little bit of that pop to kind of come back. I don't think anybody had Gary Sanchez being one of the top home run hitters on the team this point in the season, but it's good. That means he's been, you know, they signed him to do what he's been doing, and he's been able to hit. So, yeah, I think obviously with all the injuries, I'm saying obviously a lot today. With all the injuries today or this month, I think getting some of those guys back will be great.
Yeah, and you know, if it is Cooper Pratt, let's just for argument's sake, let's say it is him. Is Joey Ortiz the odd man out? Because David Hamilton's got the better average. He's tied for the most steals with Terang. He's like a bunting machine and gets on and then steals the other base. You have Luis over there, who was the free agent signing in that. So if it's not if it's him, that's the odd man out. Then does Ortiz go back to a platoon of third with him and Hamilton?
I almost think you want to keep that glove. So I don't think who has options left.
Because, you know, Luis can play first, but I mean, with Vaughn coming back, you have Bowers. Sanchez has played there, although we probably don't want that, but you have that option.
And Sanchez isn't going anywhere because he's your backup catcher. So yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at what the rosters at, like who they would have available to send back down.
Yeah, I don't know what
because it comes to options when at that point. But a lot of those, I mean, everybody you named is a bona fide major league player. Like none of those guys are really guys you want to send down. So it comes down to the outfield guys, and you know, like a Tyler Black.
Right.
Does he get sent down? Does he have options left? He's been
up, but he's been like a doubles machine.
Right.
It feels
exactly.
Like
so it's like, who do you want to like?
I know, and that's the other. Like he could play first base too, because that's what they've been transitioning him to. And I know it's been. Anybody thinking he can play third, because he hasn't played third in a long time. So I don't know if I'd
That's always that's where you want somebody to have like spring training reps in games that don't technically matter before you're like, okay, let's throw this guy out there and let him start playing third.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the injury list here. So obviously Terang's still day to day. He's not on the list, but he's not on the list.
Yeah, so. They scratched him for sickness, so I would assume that
Blake Perkins is still. I feel like Perkins.
I think I love Blake Perkins' defense, but I feel like when Chourio comes back, I just Lockridge has played well enough to be that fourth outfielder.
Greg Jones still up.
Yeah.
So that would be another one that probably gets sent back down.
And the thing is, if you do call up a Cooper Pratt, you're playing him.
Yeah. You're not
he's
just
your
calling
starter.
Him. Yeah. Because you want him to get those reps down in the minors if he's so. Yeah, and Brandon Lockridge is another guy that's kind of just.
I feel like he's the fourth outfielder right now when everybody's all healthy. Like he's the Blake Perkins from last year.
Right. So I think in my mind, Perkins is probably the guy, odd man out, just because it's been that he barely I'd say lucky to make the roster, but was because Churio got injured and they kept
and called him up right after that. So
it's not like I don't think he'll be down. I mean, he's hitting 109.
Yeah, it's
you
again
can't.
The defense. It's the Ortiz thing.
Yeah.
Defense or offense, which you can't have all those guys that are really good at defense. You do need some offense with this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you win.
It's not, you can't get away with, I mean, granted, guys aren't hitting, you guys still hit 209, and that's not bad in the major leagues anymore, but Joey O has been given the shot. He's hitting 181.
Yeah.
If anything, he becomes a platoon guy.
Yep.
And if he can get hot that way, fine. And you'll probably get your chances because injuries are going to happen. But if I was to have to say one guy's going to probably be on the odd, it's Blake Perkins first.
Yeah.
Joey O would lose his any starting spots to just being a solid. And again, a great glove. The bat just hasn't followed lately. And
right.
Well, whatever. That's what you start wondering.
So they'd probably have to do 3 if it's Cooper, Jackson, Andrew Vaughn called up this week.
That's true.
So I would say Greg Jones probably, for sure.
Perkins. Do you go?
I think it's got to be like Luis. If it's like Luis Rengifo, you'd have to release him because he doesn't have any options.
Right. And he's
just
also
the way Tyler Black's been playing, especially with Christian Yelich out still. I think Tyler Black has been getting a lot of reps at DH. And if he's being a doubles machine right now, I'd rather have him in a lineup than Luis Rengifo.
Right. And that's just the thing. Do you want to release a guy that you made a trade?
It's just like a 1 year, $3.5 million deal he signed this year.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because he was part of the. Okay, never mind. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, David Hamilton was part of the trade.
Right. I'm thinking of So I mean, that would be the one. I think he's a veteran that he'll land somewhere, or if he
could go back and might take the assignment. Right. He might go down.
This is why these guys get paid good bucks to be front office people, because this is not an easy. They're sitting there doing the same thing we are.
Yep.
But they also know more details about stuff and what. Well, how these guys are going to handle probably these situations. So, Brandon's probably sitting at home right now, just with a bunch of sheet of papers.
I'm kind of curious. Does Ortiz have options?
Yeah,
because the other part in this whole thing is like if he has options, and I could look it up here if I had a minute. If you're going to call up Cooper Pratt, do you send down Joey Ortiz so he can just get reps then? You're swapping a shortstop for a shortstop so he can get in the lineup?
That might be the thing, is just get him some reps. Let him just work his way out of what he's been dealing with, and maybe at some point gets it right down in the minors and comes back up. So, I don't know. This is a tough situation for them. We'll find out, obviously, later when they make the moves, but...
Yeah, it was at some point we are going to see Cooper Pratt at this point in the season, and if you're going to do it, why not do it when he's hitting really well and try to take advantage of that?
Right, keep him going. You'd rather have him now than like he gets on a cold streak down the minors and all of a sudden you're up, an upheaval of moving him back to up to the major league rosters and just the distractions of being in your first game. So
right, I mean, you look at Tyler, going back to him really quick. So far this season, 429 at the major league level, 429, a 1.074 OPS.
Yeah. Like how do you get rid of that for 3 guys that are hitting under 200 and haven't done anything? Joey Ortiz has maybe one game where he looked like
right.
Rengifo's had a couple of clutch hits, I will say, but they're not doing it on a consistent basis. And you need a little more consistency, especially when you're not getting the power numbers.
Right.
So you need guys on base, and when you're not doing that, might be time to look for some replacements.
Yep, I agree. All right, we got to take our final break here. We'll be back to wrap up things with some picks coming up after these really quick words. All right, let's wrap up this nonsense on this Monday morning with some picks, shall we? We've got the Stanley Cup playoffs. Woo! Last night, Montreal defeated Tampa Bay to win their series. The Wild, they fell in a low-scoring football game to Colorado 9-6 in game one of that series.
Like a Rockies-Twins game.
Right?
well, maybe not. That's a lot of runs for
we got 2 games on the docket tonight. Carolina hosting Philadelphia. Carolina leads that series 1-0.
I'll give the Flyers come back and take it and even it up. I feel like all these games are going to go 7.
I'm going to go Philly, too. I know in that first series, a little bit of run, so maybe a little exhausted game one.
Yeah, and that was a tough series because obviously you're playing God dang, why am I saying obviously? I'm catching myself every time now. People are going to start taking drinks of apple cider every time I say that. A big series against an in-state rival like that, that's going to take a lot out of you, even if you didn't go 7 with them. But yeah.
Obviously, yeah. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just mad at myself. This is like one of those things. Like if I was listening, I'd be like, "Why is he saying this?"
I do it all the time too, and I get called out by people who just don't give a crap. So that's what they got.
Let's go Flyers.
I'm gonna go Flyers too. So let's move on to the other game. Anaheim taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Ducks Knights.
I don't know if I can get into those Ducks. The orange unis are. I'm not a fan.
No.
I don't know. Was it Finland that wears the orange and like one of those like soccer?
Oh, I thought maybe you're talking about Mighty Ducks D2 or something.
But then you got Vegas. I'll go Vegas.
I'm gonna go Vegas too. So, the NBA, we got the playoffs yesterday. Orlando collapsing in a 3-1 series lead to Detroit, and this morning their head coach got fired.
Yeah.
So Detroit moves on. Cleveland defeated Toronto, so Cleveland moves on. We were this close to like having the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference out, which would have been chaos. So
our coaches be out there,
right? So we've got the 76ers who took down the Boston Celtics in 7 games. They're going to be visiting the Knicks tonight.
I wonder if the NBA is. Boston, I feel like, is what they wanted. But now you got the Knicks that are still playing, and that's your biggest market. So I'll go Knicks.
I'm going to go Knicks in this one, but I think this could be a tricky series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially if
Philly's healthy.
Yeah, if they stay, that was exactly what I was going to say. If Embiid is able to play at a high level, yeah, it's going to be a fun. I think it'll be an old school Atlantic Division, I think they were back in the day.
Yeah. There you go.
I think the Celtics were in the Atlantics. That's where I always try to.
Yep. And then the T-Wolves will be taking on the Spurs tonight. I know Anthony Edwards is pushing play, but I don't think he's going to go tonight.
Yeah. Both those teams had injury issues in the first round, but a matchup of just some superstars if they can get him out there. So, and you want him back at you don't. I don't know if you want him back this early, especially just with the knee injury that he had.
Right.
But if you can get him back at some point in the series, I feel like this is like back in the Bucks playoff runs when you were like, is Middleton coming back? Can he come? Giannis is so. Yeah, we feel your pain there.
Yeah,
for the T-Wolves.
This was from. He's expected to miss games 1 and 2, but there is growing optimism he could push his way back into the lineup in the coming week, possibly as early as game 3 or 4. So,
I'll give it. With that being said, I'm gonna go Spurs.
I'm going to go Spurs for tonight, too.
Yep.
So let's go to the baseball world where we've got a few games. We've got the Mets taking on the Rockies.
Ooh.
Who wants to watch that?
Somebody has to win. I go Rockies just because I enjoy watching the Mets in misery.
Screw it. I'm going to go Rockies, too. It's in Colorado. Why not? So Boston taking on Detroit. Tariq is on the mound for the Tigers.
I'll go Tigers because I also like watching Boston in disarray.
Yep. Philadelphia at Miami. Aaron Nola and former friend Jansen Junk for the Brewers.
Philly, they were struggling up the bus too for a while there.
Yep.
I'll go with Philly.
I'm going to go Philly, too.
I picked Philly all 3 times so far.
We got Toronto at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay second in the AL East right now. Only them and the Yankees with winning records in the AL East.
That is always such a crazy division. I'm going to go Toronto. Dalton Varsho.
Yeah. I'm going to go Tampa in this one.
I know Dalton Varsho likes hitting against the Twins. We know that. Like, most of his home. But yeah, Tampa's just that they find a way.
Yep.
Another one of those teams that just always finds a way.
It's just like Kevin Nash. Yeah, Kevin Nash? No.
Yeah, no.
No.
Kevin Nash is the wrestler.
That's what I was like, because I just watched the Hogan documentary, so I've got like Kevin Nash.
Big Daddy Diesel.
Yeah. By the way, did you watch that?
I have not watched it yet.
Okay. No, I'm thinking of it's Kevin Cash.
Kevin Cash. Okay.
I almost want to say Nash again. Kevin Cash. I'm surprised like a bigger team hasn't tried to poach him or something.
Right.
Joe Madden, Cubs, and
exactly, because that's what usually ends up happening.
Right, but because Kevin Cash has been there for a long time with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's been a very consistent team, really, if you think about it. Managerial wise.
So. Yep. Okay, back to the where are we at here? So we got Baltimore taking on the Yankees. Yankees. Cincinnati and the Cubbies.
Ooh, that's a fun end of at Wrigley.
At Wrigley.
I'll go Cubs in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cubs, too. Cleveland, Kansas City.
KC.
Yeah, I'll go Kansas City for this one. Dodgers, Houston.
Dodgers. Hard to pick against the Dodgers.
The maybe surprising White Sox, just 2 games under 500, actually in contention for that Central.
Not on pace to lose 100 games yet.
White Sox taking on the Angels.
I'll go White Sox because the Angels, that's an organization that's just, I don't know what's going on there.
What if I told you that Soriano's pitching for the Angels, though? He's 5-1 with a .84.
Okay, well, maybe I'll, you know what? I'm going to give the White Sox the benefit of the doubt.
All right, stick with it,
throw it right
man.
back in my face.
Yep. I'm going to go Angels. Atlanta and Seattle. Atlanta's just on a tear to open up this year. But now Ronald Acuna is going to miss a little bit of time.
I'll go with the Bravos.
Yeah, I'm going to go Braves. Padres, Giants.
Ooh, little rivalry there. Teams that I thought were the same when I was like 5. San Diego.
I'm going to go Padres, too. And then finally, Brewers, game 1 against the Cardinals.
Oh, the Brewers. Going down, taking that game.
Yeah, I'll go Brewers with Chad Patrick on mound.
I've really enjoyed the consistency that we've seen with Chad Patrick, so.
That's the word that keeps popping up for Chad Patrick is consistency, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, not at all. Yep. He's not the Miz where he's going to like throw 20 pitches 103 miles per hour, but he again, I mean, Brandon Woodruff's not anything exciting, but finds ways to get the outs and the strikeouts. So.
Really quick, our Summer Jam glory days, because I forgot to get to this here a little bit. I'm going to go back to 2004 here, Justice.
All right, I was 24 years old.
A guy by the name of Alex Rodriguez hit his 350th career home run, drove in his 1,000th run. He was the youngest player to reach 350 home runs. Did you think Alex Rodriguez at that time was going to be maybe the new home run king before all the stuff started to pop up?
I think so. Was he?
He was with the Yankees.
He was with the Yankees, so he'd already made his run, his transition there. Once he signed with the Yankees, I just remember just being how outrageous that contract when he signed with the Rangers was.
I think Doug Melvin was the GM too that signed him to that. Yeah.
And then once he got to the Yankees, like, oh man, this could be a generational run.
Yep.
Obviously, things derailed it to tarnish his image. But they were showing the replay of him like knocking the glove out of Bronson Arroyo's hand. And, so there's a lot of things. I thought he was going to end up. I don't know if he was ever. I thought he was going to be the home run king. I knew he was going to be able to get close, which he honestly did get.
Biggest, really quick, because we only got about a minute and a half. Biggest kind of what if. Ken Griffey Jr., if he would have stayed healthy. Alex Rodriguez and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And Barry Bonds and all the stuff. If everybody was clean or healthy, which one's the kind of like the biggest what if?
I mean, I think Griffey, if he stays healthy, makes a run at it. And he lost 5, 6, 7 seasons basically because of injury.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah, I think Bonds, I don't know. I mean, Bonds would have been just an all-time great. I don't know if he would ever broke the home run record if if things don't go the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he ends up with some of the craziest numbers. He does have, but I mean,
without question,
he does. And I think the same's with A-Rod. I think they both would have. But I just think Griffey, had a shot.
I do too.
Just because how young he started.
Because I think it's still the phrase, like maybe for my age and maybe yours, when we ask like the best baseball player seed, it's probably Ken Griffey Jr., and he's always got the label. If he would have stayed healthy, he probably might have been the best of all time.
Yeah, I think so. I think he had all that natural talent, and it just, unfortunately, his body didn't allow it.
Yep, exactly. All right, that's going to do it for us. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back at it tomorrow. By the way, Jonathan Gannon is alive. He does speak to Packers reporters for the first time today. So,
yes,
he's a real person. So he's
you got
there,
that. Get the introductory press conference for the Bucs on Wednesday as well. So a lot
Taylor
of press
Jenkins.
conference coverage today.
Exactly. So have a good rest of your day. We'll be back at it same place, same time tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Talk to you then.
May the 4th be